Hello, welcome to Shattermare Live, episode, is this 26? Episode
Who's keeping
26.
count?
Nice. I have to. I don't want to say the wrong thing, and then we look dumb, you know? I mean, we're going to look dumb for other reasons, but at least that we can control. So, yeah.
Hello.
So how are you guys doing? I'm joined by my two esteemed co-hosts, William and Kyle.
Doing all right. You know.
Yeah, I got a touch of vertigo this morning. It's still with me. It's weird. I've never had it this bad before, but
You get vertigo a lot?
no, not a lot. And it usually just like a little passing spell, but this time, just getting out of bed, and I didn't go to work today because of it. There's no way I'm going to drive. Every time I stand up, it's an adventure, but it's getting better. I can't explain it, but it's terrible.
Yeah, my dad used to get that a lot.
Yeah, it's something that you can't really do anything about. You just have to ride. Just don't fall, you know.
I think he just takes what's it called? It's like meclizine or something. He just takes that like
Yep.
every day.
Yep.
Like every day. So probably has no impact on him anymore. But
Yeah, there's things like Dramamine. Like I didn't get
Dramamine, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
My nausea.
It's not something I get a lot, and I have no idea what brought it on. I've been getting healthier and things like that, and I don't know. But anyways, there is improvement, so I'm happy with that.
Well, that's good. How have you been, Kyle?
I just finished up some of the kind of like final touches on the last issue.
Nice.
Waiting for that to be kind of like edited and reviewed and everything, and besides that, it's been a lot of work, a lot of fun working stuff.
Yep. Fortunately, we still have day jobs.
Yeah.
We can't coast.
Because y'all haven't bought enough comic books.
Yeah, all those people listening out there. You need to buy 600,000 comic books so we can retire and continue to make comic books full time.
Yeah, maybe we can get a warehouse.
Yeah, we can get a warehouse. And we can start delivering them. We'll deliver ours on time. Oh, I probably shouldn't mention. I don't want to start drama. So let's just say that I may or may not have gotten scammed by someone in the crowdfunding space that I ordered a comic book for. I assume it's just going to boil down to incompetence. Like so I got to double check what all I was supposed to get, and I reach out to them and say, hey, I didn't get any of this. In fact, I don't even think I got the right cover of the book. We'll see. So
be grateful you got a book. I've been scammed about 11 times.
yeah, but I paid a shitload of money, and I specifically didn't even care about the book. There's other pieces of the order that I was looking forward to.
There was this one called Dragon Guard or something, and I backed it around the time that
like Dragon Rage.
No, like that. I backed that. There's Sayonara. Sayonara $25. It was something like that, and I backed it because he was on Raging Golden Eagle's channel. It was around the time Raging Golden Eagle was doing his first campaign as well.
Oh, so, speaking of RGE, I got to reach out to him.
Yeah, and I still get emails from them, but I never. Yeah, it's like, keep sending me emails, son. It was first, and then it was this, and it's like, forget it. Just
it's just excuses. It's just excuses. It's better if they just, honestly, it's less embarrassing if they just shut the fuck up and then leave. Like they just don't say anything. Yeah, just forget about it. Speaking of which, some housekeeping. Big news, we're about to launch issue 1 of Mercenary Guild. So that's pretty fucking exciting. And it's not vaporware like some of these other books. Like it's gonna be a real book.
Yeah.
And when we ship everything out, because I do the fulfillment, I don't have some like random illegal alien that I hired in a warehouse to fulfill all my shit. I make sure to pack everything, like everything that's going out to everybody. Whatever you get, you're actually gonna get.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's exciting. We'll be launching that and going on some other shows to promote it. But I'll be sending out emails once those campaigns go live. And like Kyle said, he's working on 11 because we're about to also launch campaigns for issue 10 of Hardly Heroes. So that's going to be sweet. We got a new artist on that, so we're doing a little more of a special launch than we normally would. Normally, we just put up a, hey, by the way, issue 10's on the site. It's live. Order it now. It's available for order. But we want to do something extra fun to celebrate our new artist, Adam. So we'll offer some extra perks and stuff. But yeah, so that's cool. So like one of the things for Mercenary Guild, we're going to do some sweet custom guitar picks.
Yeah, I still haven't heard back.
It's pretty awesome.
I was going to go buy a store today.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I didn't go to work today, so but if I should be able to go to work tomorrow, and I'll stop by a store.
Nice. Yeah, one way or another, we'll do those. So look forward to that. I haven't decided yet if it's going to be an add-on or part of the stretch goal. Probably a stretch goal.
Yeah.
So everyone out there need to buy all the copies of Mercenary Guild issue 1. But yeah, so we're looking forward to that. Got to update the website and finish the crowdfunding campaigns, and gonna go live. So we'll have those up very soon. What's another thing? MegaCon. If there's people listening out there and you're in Florida and you're going to MegaCon, we're gonna be there. Look forward to seeing you guys there. That's really the only thing we can look forward to each year at MegaCon. Oh, that show blows. So, if they're listening, then I didn't stutter. So,
well,
I just want them to know that. But Todd McFarlane's going to be there this year, so I guess that's exciting.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people there.
Oh, there's a lot of people there. Yeah,
that is the second biggest con in the United States, probably the world.
Yeah, the weird thing about that convention is like they do too much. Like they're trying to be this massive thing, and I guess so far they're successful at it. But they're trying to be like a pop culture convention, comic books, like, and I guess veering into the anime because they're doing a lot of cosplay stuff. Because they get like voice actors for anime and then regular celebrities from like Hollywood stuff. So, and it's a lot of shit, But the annoying thing is it isn't one of those. So it's like you go there and you're like, oh, cool. Maybe they have like some cool comic artists, and they do get like genuinely cool artists and writers and stuff and people there. But then you just have to deal with like 80,000 people walking around, going to get in line to like get a picture with, I don't know who's going to be there, the guy who played Doctor Who or something. So,
if not someone more obscure.
Yeah.
And a lot of these, I guess there must be like some of these people have an agent, or there's like an agency they contact, because you start to see a lot of people, but they're the same people and they are pretty obscure, but I guess that's how they make a living, because they're not really acting anymore, or they're not getting like the bigger roles that they got, so they just do the circuit. So they trot out like, some of these random people that it's like this person was popular in the show when Kyle and I were growing up.
Well, like Christopher Lloyd, and he does a lot of cons still. I mean, yeah, some of these people, especially in like the horror thing, they still have the girls from the original Evil Dead going around at conventions.
Yeah, they have all kinds of like whoever they can dig up.
Man.
So.
I mean, they have Kane Hodder, who is Jason, the original Jason Voorhees. He goes around all the time to cons. pretty much eats off of that.
Right, exactly. And that guy literally, I mean, he was wearing a mask, so it's like he's
Yeah.
pretty obscure. And then there's the other part of it that like part of me is really cynical about these big shows where uh like even if you're going there, it's not like conventions were back in the day, or at least from what I hear from people, where you'd go to a show and there'd be like an artist and it was pretty cool and get a chance to talk to them and they'd sign some books. They're coming out there for the fans. Now, like you go there, you're like, oh, cool, I want to get my whatever book signed by, like, say you just have like, I don't know, random copy of Spawn. And you're like, oh, I'll have Todd McFarlane sign my Spawn book. You gotta go into a lottery system specifically for him. Like, there isn't even a line, but then for other people, there's like a line that's like 200 people long.
2 or 3 hours, yeah.
Yeah, you're waiting in line 2 or 3 hours. It's like going to like a Disney ride, like Universal Studios, and then you get there, it's like $30. Like, some of these signatures are crazy, and they have all these like tiers of different things you can.
Like, okay, maybe to sign a book, but like to get a signed picture, it's in the hundreds now.
Oh, pictures for celebrity? Yeah, I'm not even including them.
Yeah.
I'm including like legitimate comic, like the comic side of this convention. It's still expensive, so it's really expensive. And some people just go there and get a bunch of signatures. I'm like, oh my god, like you're spending
people
so much money.
Yeah,
like you go to a convention, you spend legitimately like hours upon like entire days just standing in a line. It just I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I do that more now to get a couple books signed than I ever did when I was younger.
That's really all it is. Like, I have a friend and she'd go to Horror Hound and she'd meet people from The Walking Dead and stuff like that, and that's all it was you go in, you wait in a line, lucky if it's an hour and a half, and then so I mean, some people didn't have huge lines like Tony Todd, so you could go right in, but like John Carpenter, that's a 2-hour line to me.
Yeah, it's not like you get to meet and greet and talk to the person. I mean, the closest thing you can do for that is going to like a panel, and then you just sit in a room with like 300 other people and just listen to them talk and do a Q&A for like 15 minutes, because you don't know these people. Like, I guess a lot of people feel like they have like a parasocial kind of point of view where they're like, oh, I've seen this person act, in a thing. I like the character, so I feel connected to the character, like I know, but you have no fucking clue who these people are.
No.
So you're just going up to be like, hey, and you're paying like $120 to take a picture with a stranger.
I mean,
like, imagine going into the street and just be like going to like, downtown, finding a homeless guy and being like, oh, hey, can I pay you $60 to take a picture with you?
Imagine being somebody who waited in line to get Neil Gaiman to sign your shit.
Yeah, if it was Neil Gaiman, now I would wait in line for him to sign my. And when I got to the table, I'd say, "Hey, can you make it out to that lady who falsely accused you of raping her?" I would just say something. I would just do it to troll him. That's why. Yeah, I don't know if you know about that, Kyle.
I think we talked about it on a previous episode.
Well,
yeah, it was a little while ago at this point, but
see, I do listen sometimes.
There you go. Well, they drudge it. Yeah, they drudge it up now every time they talk about like the next season of Sandman or something.
Well, I think he was dropped by Image.
Oh, really? Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, we did cover that.
Yeah.
I remember.
But I heard some weird stories. Like, this guy has a bathtub in his backyard, like not a hot tub, a fucking bathtub.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's clearly a weirdo.
He's
like,
a weirdo, but the women who get involved with him have to understand this guy's a weirdo, like a Marilyn Manson. Like, if you're gonna get involved with a guy like that, he's gonna be weird, man. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say he works in the mainstream comic industry. Like, just like people have been weirdos for a long time. It's not like, it's not like weirdo pink hair SJWs infiltrated the comic scene. And it's like, okay, this is the turning point, guys. Now
Yeah.
there's a bunch of weird freaks working in the industry. Like, no, that's it's been like that for a while. Before it was just nerdy dudes,
Yeah.
like weird, awkward guys, and now it's weird, awkward guys who identify as girls. So the more things change, the more they stay the same, I guess. Speaking of the comic industry, this I think is a couple weeks old at this point, but we cannot not talk about Diamond. Yeah. So let me share. Okay, you guys can see this. So, yeah, Diamond was recently in the news because they're filing. I want to say finally. I called this like 2 years ago, but they're filing for bankruptcy.
Yeah. Chapter 11.
What's gonna happen to all those stores that insist on buying all their shit through Diamond?
Well, so that's why that's why they owe so much money, right? So when they say this gets into a little bit the economics of like distribution and retail or whatever, and manufacturers, publishers, whatever you want to call people on our side that are getting our products through Diamond as a distributor. So like when they're filing for bankruptcy, yeah, what are they gonna? They have a bunch of stock, right? And they have a bunch of like back order that they're supposed to fill stores, because it's not like Diamond goes, okay, cool, what do you guys want to order from me? The actual local comic shops or like a hobby shop, and then they're like, this and that. Like it's months in advance, which means companies like Wizards, Hasbro, they have to get their stuff to them. Like if you're getting something through Diamond, like it's months in advance from the actual release.
Yeah.
And then everyone places their orders and the previews, and then you're shipping them to Diamond, and they ship them to all the stores, so on and so forth. But because of that, you're basically in debt to a lot of companies, because you're like, okay, well, we have to.
But I think Chapter 11 gives you, like, I don't know if you have to even repay that debt. That's why they go Chapter 11.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the differences, because there's 7, 11, and
13.
13, and one of them is consolidation. One of them is like, we're fucked. And one of them is like, okay, you're selling off everything you can to pay off your creditors, and you're starting over at basically, like, you're going to still be in operation. Your company isn't kaput, but like you have to. This is like the step before that. If you can't do that, then the next step is you're fucked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they can potentially avoid that, which is why they're talking about the debt as well. But yeah, all those products, like all the all the comics and board games or whatever Diamond is distributing, really, books. I mean, if you're shipping that's a lot of inventory and product. So, and then obviously there's the payments, right? The fees that they have to pay you for all the books that they sell. So you're cut. So if they haven't even paid effectively royalties, that's a lot of fucking money. So, so like they're talking about, okay, it's not just them. It's like BattleTech, Shadowrun, just a bunch of people.
Because the big two, they stopped using Diamond a few years ago.
Yeah, they saw the writing on the wall during COVID, so they're like, fuck this, we're gonna go to like Lunar and Penguin, or try to create basically their own distributor and integrate it vertically into their business, so it's not a third party. But yeah, it's I was kind of predicting this a couple of years ago, like closer to after COVID, because I'm like, yeah, they're pretty much fucked. Like, how do they? And they operate on very thin margins, And all pretty much all the retailers I've talked to, as far as comics go, they fucking hate Diamond. They're just like, they're the worst.
Yeah.
I fucking hate this company. But the problem is, a lot of retailers are lazy, and they've been doing what they've been doing for like 30 years. So they don't care. Like, they just put up with it. They'll just complain all the time, but then they don't do anything about it. They're just like, oh, I wish someone else would do something. It's like, well, you could find an alternative. Well, I don't want to do that. So, overall, I want to say almost this is probably a good thing for the industry, because it'll create a little bit of a shock to the system where people actually have to figure out, oh shit, if Diamond's not around, like, how are we going to operate? And if bigger companies individually move to like other distributors, it'll be more like card games or like other hobbies where you don't just, or almost anything really, you don't have one distributor that's like the monopoly over the industry. You've got multiple distributors and you work with a handful of them.
Yeah.
Like that's how other like many other industries work.
Yeah.
So
I listened to Gary talk about this from Neurotic. He owned a comic store for 10 years, and he said Diamond was a pain in the ass. They were hard to deal with. But one fact he brought up, he said that nobody wants to distribute comics. Like, nobody wants to do it. Like, probably because of the thin margins that you talked about.
Right, the thin margins, and you have to deal with fucking retailers.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because this article is like, oh, they're monopolizing the market. It paints Diamond as like, oh, look, they had this requirement to get a book to net them 2,500. It's like they're like, oh, they're this boogeyman, and you basically there's no barrier to entry. The barrier to entry is so high because, like, if you talk to retailers like hobby shops, like game shops, and their distributors like fucking own them. They're like, they give them straight up terms. They're like, if you want to get this product, you have to buy X amount of cases of this product that literally doesn't sell. Like, you just have to eat a shit sandwich to prove to me that you're worth me selling this to, because I know I've got a million other people that are willing to buy this. And I'm like, damn, yeah, your distributors you're pretty much at the mercy of your distributors. And they're like, yeah, that we have to be nimble and adapt. And I think that's what the comic book industry needs, to be honest. So
I don't think they need to go back to be treated as periodicals.
Sure. I mean,
so what that means is if I ordered 100 comics and I only sold 50 of them, I could tear the covers off and send it back to the public. This will never happen, but send it back to basically Marvel or DC or whatever and get credit for those 50 that didn't sell, and so forth and so forth. Now, Marvel and DC don't want to do that because that forces them to make good comics. They don't want to do that.
Yeah, well,
drugstores don't sell comics anymore and things like that because they're not going to buy these things and take the loss when they don't sell.
Right. Well, yeah, it's a super niche industry now, and it is what it is. Like, no one cares anymore. Like, I shouldn't say nobody. Obviously, people care, but way less than before. Excuse me. So yeah, and yeah, there's a a problem with. Don't get me wrong. There are definitely problems that Diamond did have where since they were pretty much in a monopoly and had a kind of a stranglehold on it. It's like everybody was waiting to see what would happen. Well, we don't want to distribute it. Okay, well, but we're not going to do anything about it, so we'll just keep letting Diamond do it. Well, yeah, then people are going to have to be at the mercy of Diamond. They're gonna, and like retailers are going to have to risk, whatever. But there was also people taking advantage of the system, and publishers do shady shit to pad their sales numbers, like we've talked about before. So it's like
varying covers.
Yeah, the ratios, all of that shit. So it's not like you point at Diamond and be like, oh man, if it wasn't for Diamond, this industry would be great again. It's like, no, that Diamond is the way. Like, Diamond is a symptom of this really shitty industry. So, and like for independent people, I thought about at one time applying to Diamond because I knew they were probably getting more and more desperate for people. But at the same time, I'm like, what benefit is there to giving up like 60%? Because just so people out there are aware, after your cost, you're giving up 60% of your profit to Diamond. Like, that's what they would suggest, quote unquote. And they had a list of other requirements. But yeah, why would I want to do that when I could just sell to people on my website? Or just list
Yeah,
it on
imagine how much more it
Amazon.
would cost in those stores if the retailer's taking a cut, and then
Yeah, we make like nothing. So why would I do that when I could just sell to people directly? Or if I really want to, just put it on Amazon or put it on other online, platforms that effectively become a distributor. Like, why would we do that? So, people obviously say, "Oh, well, it's the quantity. Like, you'll be in more stores." But okay, great. So who's paying for like the 2,000 books of inventory that I have to print up front to send a Diamond and hope that they sell, and then inevitably end up losing because Diamond goes bankrupt, and and lo and behold, there's a mysterious warehouse fire in their California location or something.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a lot of issues.
My comics.
Yeah, but it's definitely worth talking about because it affects the industry as a whole. Even though it doesn't affect us as much because we're very independent. So like we're not dependent, on this existing structure. Like, we pretty much sell direct to consumer. We're not even in that many stores like that we've talked to sell books through. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much all direct to consumer. And that's just and like it's a pain in the ass just to deal. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm just shitting on the retailers, because a lot of the people people who own stores, they're great people. It's that's not the problem. The problem is the process is just a pain in the ass. Like, distributing all your books. Like, I mean, yeah, it's like its own part-time full-time job. Like, calling all these retailers, trying to deliver the books, like hounding people for receivables. Oh, hey, you need to pay your PayPal invoice for these books. Like, for what? Kyle and I were at a store signing one time, and we were talking about it, and I did the math, and it was like, because it's basically the same cut, whether you're going through the distributor or you're going through a retailer, the way they want the discount. And I did the math on how much we were making, and like we were eating the cost on some of the shipping because people expect, like, again, they're complacent with the way Diamond works. They expect certain things like free shipping and stuff. And so I think it was like 50 to 75. Was it even that, Kyle? I want to say it was like 30 to 50 cents.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
Anyways, it's just like pennies. It's like I could literally go set up a table in a park downtown and like a tent and probably sell more books and make more
Or
money.
like a local junior college or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if we went to a store signing and sold books and then left some, then that's fine, And then if they call us and say, "Hey, like, we want to pick up more books," obviously I'm not going to say no. Like, I'm not going to be like, "No, I don't want your money." But yeah, chasing all of it's like any other sales job where you're like cold calling people, and then you have to follow up and you have to deal with all their objections and shit. It's like, I'll just go where customers actually are. Like, I'll just go where people actually are and they buy books. And like our demographic of readers pretty much only buy stuff online from like people they see. You know what I mean? Like from like their YouTube, like a YouTuber they watch or listen to, or like a podcast. They
Also, there's fewer comic stores.
Yeah, they barely go to LCSs anymore. They don't go to these like pop culture conventions.
No, because they're getting
So,
too expensive.
well, they're expensive and they're pretty gay. Like,
Yeah.
like you go to a convention, you see a bunch of teenagers running around in cosplay outfits. You're like, you know, you're like, yeah. And then like the two people who are selling comic books are just like selling like animated
Yeah,
calendars.
well, because I
Like,
mean, it's not for you anymore. That's the
so
that's the target demographic now. So it's just kind of like
yeah,
I almost feel like there needs to be. I mean, well, there are very few of them, but there's like Heroes Con, like
yeah,
something that's specifically tailored. Like the conventions need to be more specifically tailored to like individual niche markets than just all be pop culture cons.
right. But that's probably the only way they make money, you know. The people running that because MegaCon's owned by Fan Expo. It's not like it's like a little mom and pop where they're just like, oh my god, how do they? Although they basically have just as many as employees. Like they don't really pay anyone to run these things either. They're all volunteers.
So is this the end of Free Comic Book Day? I mean, I know the article points to that.
Yeah, let's. I don't want to get too far ahead because I want to.
Okay.
I want to. That's our next article. Yeah, yeah. So we're pretty much good. This is just talking about specifically the bankruptcy. I just want to mention that the last thing that in this article mentions that someone's trying to already buy them out, or I think at least their UK company. So basically, Diamond's going to go bankrupt. Somebody, either another distribution company or a publisher, is going to buy Diamond, and they're going to turn them into their own, like, I hate to say Universal. They're going to turn them into their own individual distributor. Like, they're going to say, okay, cool. We like that you have the infrastructure, so we're going to buy you, like, for a steal because you're going bankrupt.
Yeah.
And we're going to just take over all of your operations, but specifically for, like, Alliance games or whatever. So that's how that's pretty much the way of Diamond, unfortunately. So, because yeah, they're doing Chapter 11. They owe too much money.
Yeah.
Like they're pretty much fucked. So,
Which was a long time coming. I'm surprised they made it this far.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, our next article, which does somewhat impact us, but honestly, it might impact us in a positive way because Diamond, I don't want to say exclusively, but they pretty much exclusively prop up Free Comic Book Day because apparently that's one of the reasons Diamond's in so much debt, which is weird because when I talk to retailers, they still have to pay for books or they have to pay for shipping. They might not have to pay for the individual books.
Yeah, I remember being really confused because I was like, "What? What? You're paying for this stuff and then giving away for interesting."
Yeah. So, oh, that's funny.
Well,
They have.
it is kind of like a Black Friday for comic book stores. You know, it brings a lot of people in, and they can make a lot of sales. You know, they can give away the free comic book day issue, which
Right.
a
So,
lot of them
yeah.
aren't great, but there's something.
Yeah, obviously the idea is the retailer makes up for it because they're getting so much traffic in. So even if they pay like like say $1,000 for, and that's probably a shitload of Free Comic Book Day books. Like you should make like 3x that, 4x that. Like this last Comic Book Day, we did 2 stores in Jacksonville, and we didn't have to I mean, we didn't travel far because it was local, and it was actually great. Like they had a great turnout. I mean, we were there pretty much the whole day. I think Kyle, you told me, but the store we were at like had a line outside and around the corner of the store. Um, so it was pretty crazy. It was a good day. So people still buy comic books, but maybe they do it for free comic book day because it's an event and they can bring their kids there, you know, and maybe
Yeah.
get them into books. Like people our age that have kids now. Um, so yeah, so Phil Boyle is the owner of the Coliseum Comics chain, which is all over Florida. So this is kind of interesting. Um, so I guess they show a spreadsheet, and yeah, it's 20,000 in supply, more than 20,000 plus in supplies and support. So, um, so yeah, it's pretty expensive to do free comic book day. So then yeah, the question is, if that just goes away, what's the future of this day like?
There is none.
Yeah, and they actually have a trademark for it. But I guess other people will just carry it on. But DC can do it. They've got Lunar. Um, so I think Marvel is it Penguin or their own, and then
I'm not sure.
I think Image and Dark Horse and them are kind of. I mean, they're gonna have to move away anyways now. So yeah, so May 3rd will be interesting this year. But again, I think like the decentralization of distribution in this industry will be a net positive because like these guys will have to be more invested in free comic book day. Like the publishers will have to be on board. The retailers obviously that's like the biggest day of the year for them. Like they don't want to fucking take the hit. Like they're gonna figure out something to do that day. They're gonna do whatever they can to keep that going.
Well, also
So
publishers have to make a comic for free comic book day, and if there's not going to be distribution, are they even going to make one?
Well, yeah, like the big ones will, right? Because they're basically just, well, so the comic books for Free Comic Book Day are almost samples. They're like little ash cans. They're not like a full book.
No.
So they kind of use it as like a preview. So like we did Free Comic Book Day the first year, and I printed out a bunch of samples, like a shortened sample of Hardly Heroes, like a cut little edit, and of issue 1. And yeah, we didn't know that they still pay because my dumbass was just like, "Oh, here, I'll give you guys free comic books." But like, yeah, this will be better for, if indie people take the initiative and they're smart, and you're out there and you're hearing this, you should come up with something for Free Comic Book Day. At minimum, you should be at your local shop, getting there to do a signing or promote your book on Free Comic Book Day. Like that's what we do, and it's probably going to be easier than ever because they need more people to be involved in Free Comic Book Day. Now that they're just not going to have as much support from, the big mainstream guys. So,
Yeah.
so if you're into comics, like you're an individual art, even if you're signed with Image, you know what I mean? Even if you're like with Dark Horse or Titan or Boot, whatever, like take the opportunity, take the advantage of they need us, as they're dying and they don't have the support structure and no one's buying their fucking shitty comic. Like it's a very good opportunity for people who are independent to break into more of the mainstream because they need content, they need creators. So yeah, I think. I mean, for the industry, it's pretty shitty right now, especially in the short term, because they're going to be all like, stumbling over their feet to figure out what the fuck they're going to do. But for us, and I don't mean literally just us, I mean like smaller independent people, the chaos of Diamond going under will present a lot of opportunity.
Your audio is really breaking up.
Oh shit!
Now it isn't. So,
Oh really?
yeah.
Oh.
So, what were you doing in that last?
I was just saying, this presents a lot of opportunities for people like us, you know, independent people, smaller creators, like retailers and publishers. They need people like us. They're going to need people like us more than ever. You know, they need content. So,
But I don't think Diamond going Chapter 11 is going to affect retailers that much, or do you?
yeah, like I cannot explain to you how fucking complacent and lazy these retailers have gotten over the past like 20, 30 years, man.
Okay.
Like these guys, if they're still running mostly a comic book shop, they've been around for a while, because no one nowadays decides, oh, I'm just going to open up a comic shop. Like it's like a suicidal business idea. Like it's not just a comic shop. You're opening like a coffee shop or like a board game store, and or like manga. You're selling a bunch of fucking shitty Funko Pops, and then you also carry some comic books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like the guys that have been around, they're used to going to their little Diamond portal, and everything's convenient, and they look at the preview catalog and they pick what they want, and they know a few months out ahead, like this is a big shakeup for them. I mean, like these companies, the bigger publishers that were going through Diamond, are going to have to pivot pretty hard to make sure they get all their stuff to retailers. And even if they do, it's not just going to be one company like Diamond anymore. It could be like, that's what I was saying earlier, it could be like 4 or 5 different distributors they have to deal with now. And that the reason that's a good thing is because it gets them out of this complacency, and now they have to do a little bit of work to get books in their store.
They have to adapt or shut it down.
Yeah, they have to actually adapt. But now they'll be more comfortable with the idea of like, oh, I'm going to have to get off my ass, and if I want more content in, or if they're one of these comic shop guys who are like, modern comics suck, I barely carry any new books, I carry almost exclusively back issues. Well, you need to go out and fucking curate the new comic books that you bring in. Like, you need to go find good books. 'Cause this is the successful stores that I see that carry new books. That's what they do. They have a, like Brian recommends book of the week.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's more personal with you're forming a more of a personal relationship with your customer. And it's not just like, hey, let me come in and pick up my pool and fuck off. It's like, hey, what do you think I should read? Like, what should I pick up? Like,
They're going to keep coming, and, it's like you're upselling them because you're getting them hooked on another thing,
Right. And yeah, there's still people that probably go
and
in
stuff that
say,
not all the comic book stores have, because if they're just coming there to read fucking Batman, then if another comic book shop opens up closer or whatever, they can get that, or they can get it from Barnes & Noble, or they can buy it online, or, whatever.
Yeah, they'll still have DC through Lunar. Yeah, I mean, and there's some people...
You're showing them stuff to buy that they don't even know they want yet,
Yeah, like the Conan comic from Titan, a lot of people.
Yeah, but not just Titan necessarily. That's what I'm saying. So that's why it provides opportunity for people who are smaller and more independent, who thought like, oh, I can't get into Diamond, so I'm never going to get into comic shops. Like, I would like, when we launch Mercenary Guild on the crowdfunding campaign, there will be, and I didn't just make this up, like a lot of people are doing this, but there will be a retailer option. So like, if you wanted to buy like and it's going to be a lot, it's not going to be for like 2, it's going to be like no one person, I guess, unless they're trying to like flip the book on eBay. But no one person is going to want like 10 copies of cover A. You know what I mean, William? Yeah. So, but like, we're going to have that as an option with a decent discount. I mean, you're not getting the crazy discount that you may be used to if you're a retailer, but like, we still have to make money. But you can get a pretty sizable discount. And if I was a retailer and I had a comic shop, not a manga shop, like I actually carried Western comics, I would be trolling Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and Fund My Comic for books that have a special, like 100% that deal, like a retailer option.
Yeah.
And that's what I would be ordering. I would go on there and I would see, okay, what are people reading? What are people actually ordering to read on crowdfunding campaigns? Like, do they have a track record of coming out? Like, is this their first title or is this anticipated? Like Boom did that with Power Rangers and Berserker, the Keanu Reeves book.
Mm-hmm.
Like people know crowdfunding isn't new. It's been around for a while now. So if I was a retailer, I would start doing that and I would curate books that you're not going to be able to get everywhere else, like Kyle said.
Yeah, have fucking like monitors, like TV screens in your comic book shop playing trailers of like in your comics on loop, like the same trailers that they play on like the crowdfunding sites.
Comics for themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah, exactly, and that's how you stay relevant as a comic shop because, I mean, we were just talking about this like 20, 30 minutes ago. We almost do directly to consumer. Like the vast majority of books we sell are direct to consumer through the website or through crowdfunding, pre-orders, like in person at shows we go to. So if these retailers want to carry books that people are selling, like that's what I'm saying. They have to get off their ass and they can't just go on Diamond and expect that there will be 300 pages of people trying to sell their book. Like they can't just turn their nose up at someone coming into the shop, ask them like, hey, you want to carry my book or whatever. Like they actually have to get off their ass and do some research and be passionate about comic books again. Like they have to curate the books that they're doing. And like the best shops I've seen that do that these days, that's what they do, and they have, lo and behold, they have people in their shop reading books. So, and that's stores that we're not even in, like just shops I've been to and just thought, yeah, this is like, this is a cool shop. People actually want to come here to see stuff. So, because yeah, like Kyle said, anybody can get the new Absolute Batman. Anyone can get Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, I don't need to go to a comic shop. That book's going to be everywhere. Like, it's going to be on Amazon. It's going to be on every online comic retailer. It's going to be in every other comic shop that carries new titles. So you have to stand out. You have to have a reason to come to your shop. So that, or you just carry manga and no Western comics.
And they can go to Barnes and Noble for those.
Yeah, and you're right. You can pretty much go to Barnes and Nobles for those. So, but yeah, I mean, you have to be flexible. You have to be able to compete. So all that being said, that's why I think it will have a positive kind of trickle down effect to people like us, because it definitely affects the retailers. It definitely does, just based on my experience in the last couple of years, like talking to retailers and seeing kind of how their process works and how their ordering process works. Like it's going to affect them for sure, especially in the short term. It's going to affect them a lot.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be surprised if you went to some of the local shops around you, William, and you just asked them like, hey, I heard Diamond's going bankrupt. Like, what are you guys doing for Free Comic Book Day this year? I guarantee you they'll I'd almost be willing to bet you money they'll just throw their hands up and be like, dude, I have no fucking idea what we're going to do.
I may do that just as a sociological experiment. I mean,
yeah. And then
stores, some of the stores have been were pretty rude during COVID, but I'm going to see.
Yeah.
Maybe they change their attitude.
Yeah, maybe they change their attitude. And then, don't be afraid if they're like, yeah, we got to figure out something to do. Then you could just throw out, well, I'm local. I'm a comic book creator. I wrote this book. We just launched it. If you guys want, I can come here to do a signing and sell my book.
Yeah.
But I'll leave that up to you. That's your prerogative.
So I know one of them, I think you have to be on your 8th vaccination to go. It's ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, that shit starts to money talks and bullshit walks,
Yeah.
So like that matters until they're like, oh, okay, so we let this guy in and we don't ask questions because he'll maybe help us run some kind of an event, versus like William. I don't think you understand. Like, Free Comic Book Day pretty much keeps a lot of these shops in business. Like,
Oh, I know that.
this is a huge blow to their revenue stream if they don't get to have this day where people are lining up around the like it's a big day for their local comic community. A big day. So if that just goes away,
it's the biggest day.
Yeah,
bigger than Christmas or anything else.
Yeah, that is their Christmas. So if that just goes away, like, yeah, that's a big deal. So yeah, that's probably the biggest news in comics. Per usual, we're just a couple weeks late because we've been taking off to get ready for our launches. But
it is big news, and it's something that we saw coming a long time ago, and retailers should have seen it coming as well.
Yeah, they should have prepared, but I guarantee you most of them didn't, because they're just like, oh, I guess I better put on my order to Diamond. They're just too busy. Like, they have blinders on. They're just busy bitching about and how they have to send a bunch of books back to Diamond because 2 boxes of order they got in, like, the books were all dinged up or ripped or, packed really shitty, and so they have to. There's also a big scam that a lot of maybe I shouldn't say a lot, a non-zero amount of retailers where they'll purposefully damage the books after they get the books they want, and they'll send them back to Diamond for credit.
Huh.
And Diamond they can't keep up with it. They don't have the wherewithal. Obviously, they're going bankrupt.
Also, I heard that Diamond kind of does a terrible job of actually shipping things out.
Yeah, they do. That's what I was just saying. Yeah, the complaints from the retailers I've talked to, they're like, Diamond's horrendous. Yeah, like they'll get stuff that's not even packaged, so it's all fucked up when it arrives. They'll have orders. Well, they put it on an order and they get the order like 2 months late, so the book, the book's already launched like a month ago. So depending on what title it's like, okay, it came and went, so no one cares anymore. So, yeah, but there's definitely a non-zero amount of stores that will also scam Diamond because they hate Diamond, so they're just like, well, I'm just going to take advantage of the system. And then that fucks the publishers over there, obviously.
Because... Yeah, I may do a pilgrimage this weekend on at least one shop and just go in there and see how they're doing without asking too many questions. I'll ask a few, but I just want to see. You can tell when you walk in a place, how it's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much all the local shops here. I've talked to the owners of the employees enough. Like, I have we know each other. Like, I have a relationship with them where I can just pretty much walk in and say, hey, it's been a while, how's it going? And then, like 5 minutes in, just drop like, so, yeah, what are you guys planning to do? Like, once you can't order through Diamond anymore, like, is there any news from the publishers? Like, what's going to happen there? Like, what do you plan to do about that? So,
yeah,
but yeah, so, but that's probably the biggest thing happening in comics right now. Well, until the next disastrous launch of the book, or someone. Oh, you know what I heard recently from somebody is that the Zeb Wells, or that writer of Amazing Spider-Man. He's not. He isn't on the run anymore, but they're like retconning Spider-Man again and resetting it. We talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Apparently, he said that the guy was like going through a divorce or something, and he wasn't really talking about it, or like people didn't know, but he, instead of like focusing on the book and trying to write the best Spider-Man character he just totally took a negative approach to it, and so he was just like projecting all of his shitty attitude about his situation in life onto the character. So that's why, like Mary Jane dumps Spider-Man or whatever, and she fucking cucks him or something.
Yeah.
So he like basically did a self-insert of himself into Spider-Man and his fucking shitty life, because he hates the character because he's a miserable asshole.
Like Tom King then, basically.
Yeah, so they keep getting these fucking Tom Kings on the main book, and then but now the ultimate version is like the best version of Spider-Man, like what everyone wanted.
Yeah.
So, despite if like what's his name is black now or whatever, it's still the best version of Spider-Man that we've got. Okay.
Yeah, so. I heard the current run isn't bad. It isn't great. It isn't bad. Maybe if I go to a comic shop, I'll thumb through it and see.
Yeah, I hear that the new guy is kind of like the J.J. Abrams of the Spider-Man run, where he's like making fun of the last guy and like parodying and poking fun of the character he created, just as like a nod, like a wink, wink. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Fuck you for doing this to our beloved character.
Well, but you gotta wonder, like, why? Because I think he was on over 50 or some odd issues.
Yeah.
There were YouTube channels dedicated to trashing this book. Amazing Spider-Man is the flagship book of Marvel.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't sell, Marvel's not selling. And it was awful.
Yeah, but Ultimate Spider-Man sold. So Spider-Man is selling. It's like people had a pressure valve release in Ultimate Spider-Man. So like they didn't really care. I mean, honestly, maybe who fucking knows if they have any clue what's going on at Marvel, to be honest. But like,
yeah.
my knee-jerk theory would be, okay, well, people could be pissed off at Amazing Spider-Man and it could sell like complete dog shit because they had Ultimate come out, and so they were just like, oh my god, Spider-Man is back, like we're selling Ultimate Spider-Man like hotcakes. And Zeb Wells is like, well, how am I doing, guys? And they're like, shut the fuck up and finish your run, you stupid bitch.
Yeah, I don't even know if they let him finish his run. I thought he was going to do
I don't know.
more, and it was just so bad. But imagine being a collector, and like Luke had mentioned when he was working in his shop, some people would just buy it and that's it. They wouldn't read it. They just put it in their long box so they didn't have a hole in their collection.
I feel like that's the majority of people that buy comic books, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what's interesting though? Like, it would kind of suck at the same time. Like, I feel kind of bad for some of the Marvel people because, like, when do you decide to cancel a run? Because even Marvel that comes out with books once a month, think about that. Like, if you're like, okay, Zeb, you've got a 15-issue Amazing or let's say a 30-issue, because you're talking about Amazing Spider-Man that goes on hundreds and hundreds of issues.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's fucking career for the next 5 years could be writing Spider-Man comics. Like, at what point do you go, oh, the sales are abysmal, like, we're taking you off, you fucking retard, like, you're done. You're awful, you can't write. Like, when do you take
sooner rather than later? Or
right, but when? Like, how? So, like, okay, say the first. Okay, well, here, let me put the scenario to you, because obviously they have written and they're doing art for these things. Like his run's probably written well before, because it doesn't take a long time to write. So writing, editing, they're probably cranking out issues in the can before they're released. But say the first issue sells pretty well. And say you have like a typical drop. Say you have like a worse than typical. Say the first issue sells like your average Marvel comic nowadays. And then the first issue is like a 70% drop off. Do you cancel it on issue 2? Well, no, because you know that you're going to have a huge drop off after his first issue of the run, because people are going to all buy it, like you guys said, to put in their long box. And then the people who are actually reading it will fall off somewhat, right? And then the people who keep collecting it will continue it. So you'll have like a flat, it'll like flatline after a certain drop. Okay, so then not 2. Well, what about 3? Okay, but 3, do you see if people pick it back up or not? Depends on the story arc, right? Like it could have like a big climax at that point. Okay, you see where I'm going with this? So like, where do you draw the line at like, okay, definitively you fucking suck. We're canceling your run. Is it like
really, if the person sucks, that should be caught by the editor, and that's the problem. They don't have the big two do not have good editors, and there's bad art and bad writing.
right?
This shit didn't happen under Jim Shooter.
Well,
just,
yeah, it's technically bad, but like the story might be bad. That like those are 2 separate issues, right? Like he could be a shitty writer, and you could fix that with an editor. But at what point do you go, this story fucking sucks? Like, I mean, because the problem with Marvel, and I mean DC to a lesser extent, Marvel has Amazing Spider-Man 1223. Like, it's not like they do runs where it's like, this is going to be I mean, they do on like spin-offs, but they don't do like, oh, this will be a 6-issue run. Like, they just keep the fucking main continuity of the book going until an event like resets the continuity or whatever. So like, I mean, so I agree with you. You know, like he sucks. At some point, the story sucks. You have to cancel it. But like, when do you? So I have a little bit of sympathy for him, where it's like, well, where do you cancel this guy's story? After 5 issues, you just tell him, hey, this sucks. Like, you got to wrap this shit up. We're gonna bring someone else in.
They probably, I don't know, they probably have benchmarks when it comes to sales that they look at. Otherwise, you know, I would
Do they?
I would hope so. It's a business.
I mean, they hire that analyst. they remember they were hiring an analyst because no one seems to know what the fuck is selling over there.
Yeah. So, otherwise, I think give them a dozen issues.
Well, that's a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole fiscal year.
But that way you'll be able to see, because obviously everything drops off after issue 1. That's confirmed. But and then I think you have to look at online. Look at some of the fan sites. Look at some of the message boards. Don't try to censor fans. Try to figure out what the fans are actually saying about the book, what they like, what they don't like.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's where.
But these people can't handle criticism, so they're never going to do that. So.
Yeah, that's the problem when you hire a bunch of babies. Like, they're all ideologically captured. I mean, that's a different problem, I guess. But like, it definitely doesn't help. So, yeah, I mean, they probably kept him going for as long as they could, and I don't know if this guy was like a DEI hire, and then they're like, oh well, if we fire him, he could sue us or something. But eventually they're tired of losing money, so like they must have lost a lot of money on Amazing Spider-Man to basically want to retcon the whole thing and start over Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, maybe Disney's putting pressure on them to actually sell something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Before, let's face it, they could just, we're losing money. Who cares? Daddy's, we're living off Daddy's dime.
Yeah, I don't know. So if someone's out there to chat, tell us what you think. I'm looking at. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So, or yeah, leave in the comments. I have to learn how YouTube works. Like, you might not be able to comment on a live video after it's not live. So maybe we're fucking up the whole time. Maybe we should relist these as videos on the YouTube.
I think you can. You can comment on the stream.
You can. Okay.
Yeah,
well, if you can, give us a like and a subscribe and comment below.
Yeah.
What you think? Like when you would have fired that guy's ass. So, yeah. Okay. So, let's see. Next thing is our. I don't want to say a weekly segment, but our maybe like a monthly, bi-monthly segment where we just check in to see how the new D&D is going. And I can safely say that in our Kyle and I's weekly game, we do not use. In fact, it's kind of a pain in the ass now because we have to look at like legacy rules to make sure we don't get confused between, accidentally using D&D 2024 or whatever versus regular 5th edition. But yeah, I mean, I don't really want to go too deep in the article. It just has some stuff they're planning for 2025, which is just more of a rehash of all the other 5th edition stuff they're going back over. But so it's not really, yeah, like they all say now it's like a return of a classic setting because Screen Rant has to like lick Wizard of the Coast balls every time they write an article about them. But yeah, I just mainly wanted to show that they're continuing in their direction of little kitty baby art. Like, this looks fucking awful.
It's terrible.
It's awful. Like, AI art would be better than this. Like, honestly, it just looks like they're doing this so then they can come out with some plushie or something. Like, he has little paws, like a little. Trying to remember the breed of the dog, the name of the breed of the dog I'm thinking of, but it's like little fluffy hands, fat hands with little nails. This isn't a fucking dragon. I will say, yeah, this isn't Eberron. This is like shitty generic steampunk bullshit.
Yeah.
So, like, this is fucking awful.
If you want to play Eberron, just play Dungeons and Dragons online. That'll give you a good. That's set in Eberron.
If you want to play, if you want to play Eberron, play like Cyberpunk or not Cyberpunk, Shadowrun.
Shadowrun.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is happening here. This is. I saw this and I was like, whoa. If they went back to this kind of art style, like, I don't know what this is for, but I don't know what this screen cap art is for, but like they should just have this artist do all of the art. Like, just pay this guy a salary and just have him start doing all of the art, promotional art for your shit.
Yeah.
So
that's more D&D.
Yeah, like,
do you notice how in all this artwork they're using lavender and pinks and
yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. It's like baby child art because they're trying to do, like, it's I don't if you want to call it like kind of saturated. Maybe that's not what the right word. Like, but they're like pastel colors.
Yeah.
It's a little
It's the color of the transgender flag is what it is.
Oh, I guess I was just saying it's like they're subtly going to more brighter, like what people would call like weirder color. There was another article I didn't even share with you guys, but it was total.
In the tattoo world, it's called New School. Like,
oh, sure. So there was another article. It was so stupid. It was like something about like let's make D&D weird and that's a great thing or something. Like, D&D needs to be more weird. It's like, no. How about no? So this is like what, like little kids like bright colors.
yeah.
So like look at this classic D&D.
Well,
I mean,
like bright colors, but it's got to fit the genre. And yeah, like that photo you're showing right there.
Okay, let me explain the difference though. This is just bright colors for the sake of mentally retarded child, like adults, like Disney adults, like they're mentally retarded adults, like they think like children, versus this, which you can tell an artist went in and used vibrant colors to accent what's happening, like the lighting, the glow of either a torch or the gold in the dragon's hoard is glowing and so it creates a vibrant light to draw your eye to what's happening in the art, and it really makes the art pop. And also, this doesn't even look like the original colors of that art. It looks like a updated, like a, I don't want to say like a remaster, but it looks like they put like a filter on this or something. Like I don't even think that's how the original image looks. I'm looking it up now. Yeah, the original one is it looks like this. So it's not even the same. It's the, see this here versus this. It's not even different. Like they put some kind of filter on there to increase the warmth or brightness or highlights something. See how it's more muted here?
Yeah.
So, and in person, it's totally different. So it's like, it's, it just happens to be that this is a classic red dragon. So yeah, it's pretty bad. Anyways, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could say it's the trans flag too. It probably is. It doesn't really matter. It's exhausting. So yeah, if this whole slideshow, because I did go through this and see the screenshots. That's why I was saying it's like shitty generic steampunk stuff. If all of these screenshots were like this kind of stuff, like Dragonlance, I guess maybe this is what this is. Maybe not. I don't know. I would be like, well, hold on, let me actually do a double take on this and see like what they're coming out with.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just more of this shit. So.
Well, the article says, bring fresh mechanics to the game, and the subclasses aren't rehashes of the 2014 subclasses.
Yeah, they pretty much are. I've seen some of them. Like on D&D Beyond, I can see, and I've seen some articles talk about like some of the newer subclasses they just introduced. They're pretty much rehashes. Like, they're more powerful. Like one of the ones I looked at, I was just like, damn, this rogue subclass is just like, it's just good. It's just directly better than any other rogue from 5th edition. Like they just get better stats. But yeah, it's not like, it's not mechanically different or creative in the sense that it's like nothing blew me away. It was like, oh, this rogue is like a clearly like evil or sadistic character, so when you do your sneak attack, you also get like a bonus damage for your intelligence modifier, and then it does something if they're bloodied or something. It's just like more lazy, generic increases to stuff. It's not like they're thinking, they're not rethinking how sneak attack works.
Yeah, they did that with a lot of feats too. They just kind of added some things, and again, there's power creep. I don't think the game needs that, but
Yeah.
that's what they're pushing. But I heard that D&D Beyond website is it still buggy, or does it work pretty well now?
It seems pretty much the same as it's always been. So it's it's just as buggy or not buggy as I'm used to it being.
Okay.
So I can't really say. No, it's just a pain in the ass because like we don't like Kyle and I characters, our characters don't die like the other players in our game. Like we try to actually keep our characters alive and like get like level them up and play them for a while or whatever. And so in fact, Kyle's character has been alive pretty much since like campaign 2 up till now.
It's my second character.
Yeah, there you go. Your second character. So
for reason we won't elaborate upon.
yeah, that's like major spoilers into the story. But I think mine is my fourth or fifth. But to be fair, I've retired at least two characters. No, yeah, maybe three. I don't know. I'm probably overcounting by one. But so this would be my third. If I didn't retire them and I kept playing the same character, it'd be my second or third. But yeah, the other guys are probably on like their 12th character.
Are they just like Leroy Jenkins? Were they just
Yeah. Well, yeah, pretty much. Like they so one player, he doesn't even build characters anymore. Our DM does it for him. Like I don't know what his problem is. He's like he has something going on. And then the other guy, yeah, he just gets bored. He's just like, yeah, I want to make. But then the funny thing is, like, a lot of his characters are pretty similar. So I'm like he'll like intentionally do riskier things and get his characters killed. But then I'm like, but pretty much could have just kept playing that character. Like it's, like it's not that much different. Most of his characters end up being like, I think he says because he's just trying to fill the role. But if half the party gets wiped, like you have pretty open options. You don't always have to play like a melee character or tank. But he tends to gravitate towards those a lot. But anyways, so I don't even remember. I almost lost my train of thought. But like, so every now and then, because I don't play many different characters, I'll just go into D&D Beyond and create a new character for fun, just to build something. Or if we do like a one-shot boss fight or something, then I can play it then. And it's just a pain in the ass because when you go to D&D Beyond, there's no global filter where you just click a button. It's like, would you like to use the old interface with all the legacy stuff, or would you like to use the new interface with the 2024 stuff? Like every time you go to a source material or look up something, it just has a tag that says like this is the legacy race, which is also confusing because in 5th edition when they did erratas, they would have like an updated rules of that race or class versus an even older version. So like you're going through and you're like, oh, okay, cool. So you'll see like two versions of every spell because you have like the 2024 version and then the old one. So you look something up, you always have to remember, oh, I gotta look for the older one and not accidentally just use like, a significantly more powerful version of it, like just and break the game or whatever. Yeah. So
that kind of sucks. I think that they're trying to push people into the new rules.
yeah, for sure. Luckily, the character sheets keep that information because there's some stuff that I don't even think you can find unless you go into the character builder. So at least someone's doing a good job of maintaining like their database of information and like the archived stuff. So yeah, yeah. The only thing I kind of juggle in my head is like at some point we were planning on coming out with a module for Hardly Heroes where you could play through the game, through the story as the main characters, and we run it like events where it's like more tabletop gaming than comic stuff. And now I don't know if we have to release it, if I have to go through fucking all the 2024 rules, you know what I mean, to see if I have to update anything.
Yeah.
Or if I just, because now it's like eventually it's gonna be kind of obsolete. It's like, it's like when 5th edition came out, and you're like, well, I'm gonna release a module on 3.5, and people are like, well, why would you do that? It's like it's a little awkward.
When it comes to the books, I've checked some forums and what have you. A lot of people are sticking with 5th edition for now. Because a lot of them are in the middle of campaigns, they don't want to change. They don't want to buy new books, and obviously the new books are already outdated because new errata has come in. So you pretty much, I guess, if you're going to do the new stuff, you might as well just do it on D&D Beyond and forego the books, which doesn't seem like D&D to me, but
Oh yeah, we do D&D Beyond. We just get the update the group subscription for the new stuff. It would be a nightmare actually trying to buy fucking books in this game anymore. I would never buy them.
yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't never whether I pay for those or not. That's up to the audience interpretation. But yeah. So I don't know what to say about it. It's just oops. It's pretty gay, yeah.
Is yours an online game or?
No, we meet in person still, but we do we just use like Roll20. If we don't want to use dice, we just bring a dice roller because we don't use like battle maps or anything. We use the virtual battle maps. It helps. It's convenient enough. But then we're still all in person. Like most people still pay attention most of the time to what's going on. Because you lose a lot of the experience when you're like, just looking at a computer screen, talking to people over Discord or whatever.
Yeah, I tried that. It kind of fell apart.
Yeah, like I had some friends, and we had a separate game going for a little while, and I guess this is back when I was trying to play D&D with Matt and then another friend that's local, but because he's in North Carolina, like we try to find like a D&D for DM for hire. I don't even know if that's still a thing anymore. It was, especially during COVID. But yeah, we just try to play over Discord or virtually or whatever. It just loses a lot of the experience. Like people are half paying attention. You can tell they're like muted, but checking shit on other screens.
Yeah.
Barely paying attention. Yeah, or whatever. Playing, like playing another video game or it checked out. Which it's like, well, what's the point of this then? And if it's like they're not paying attention, then shit takes a lot longer. Like combat and stuff. It's like, oh, it's your turn, and they're like. Unmute themselves like what? They're like, bro, it's your fucking turn, like go. So and then paying someone to run your D&D campaign is kind of a crapshoot. Like it's interesting in theory, but it's hard to know that because if it's not like your buddy or someone you've known, it's almost like doing Adventure League. I don't know if you ever did that. Where it's just like some random DM running a game for you, like a module. You're like, you don't take it too seriously either.
Yeah.
So,
I like to do a long campaign, but I can't find people to play with.
Yeah, I mean, you could have to do it.
I'm not going to go to a game store and try it, with the current crowd that they attract and. Also, I'm not that interested in D&D as much.
We still have to get people together so we can do a let's play or a online session of Shadow of the Demon Lord.
Yeah, but yeah, it's hard to find people, to play games with. When all your friends are, pretty much out of the hobby.
Yeah.
Enjoy it while you can.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The only thing I wanted to cover is some gaming news. Well, I guess I don't have an article but Marvel Rivals is still doing really well, and I talked to people in real life that I met at game shops and stuff about it, and they're loving the game. Like they're in their first season of characters and content and maps, and people are having a really good time. So that's one of
Yeah,
the
the
one of
number
the
insane. Yeah.
yeah. So that's one of the few Marvel licenses that's actually doing really good. And I think the developer is a Chinese
It
game
is.
developer.
Yeah.
So yeah, as all these West again, it's just like comics. As these Western developers just continue shitting the bed and going bankrupt, like Eastern companies are going to pick up the ball and run with it. It's like pretty soon, everyone,
Yeah.
the only fucking developers are going to be left are going to be in Asia.
The Chinese have had two home runs with Black Myth Wukong and now this Marvel Rivals. And
Hmm.
it, it's a pot, you know, again, the genre, some people said when Concord and stuff failed, well, people just aren't into the looter shooters. And it's like, well, that's what Marvel Rivals is, and everybody's into it.
Well, it's not a looter shooter; it's like an arena style. But yeah, that's what Concord was.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's look, it's just people making excuses.
yeah.
People always want to make excuses for
It's like
shitty things.
they're not
Well,
sick of superheroes, obviously, but you got to do these characters right. And from what I've seen, a lot of the skins, they do a pretty good job. You know?
yeah, they do a better job than the actual fucking comic writers
Yeah.
and artists. But it's not just that; it's the gameplay too. I mean, shocking, but if you make a gameplay that's fun and entertaining and it's dynamic enough so you can replay the game, then people are going to buy the fucking game. Like
Yep.
it's weird. It's like
Actually, it's free. I think it's free to download.
it's
and
free to play. Yeah, yeah, it's free. You just they get you when you spend money on skins and cosmetics, and it's crushing it. They're making a shitload of money. So you know, it's
But I
kind of
don't think
weird.
it's gone the pay to win route yet. So anything you pay for,
No, the only thing you pay for, I think, is like for uh, like a season pass. But I think that's just more skins. Like I don't know if you even have to pay to unlock a character.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like Fortnite, where you just pay for like cosmetic stuff. So yeah, so that's license. It's actually working out for them. So another game that's due to come out pretty soon, Avowed, which is Obsidian's new I want to say game, because when they made what is it? We were talking about this offline before we started the stream.
Oh, Pillars.
No. Well, Pillars of Eternity was more like it's like Diablo,
Yeah.
an RPG. This is set in the same world, which interests me because the Pillars of Eternity world is pretty cool, and I've heard good things about those games. But no, it was it was like their Fallout or like Starfield game.
Oh, Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds, yeah. That wasn't really an open world game, which is really weird. It was like zones.
Such a disappointment.
Yeah, it was very disappointing, and it was really boring. Like it's very unforgettable. I mean, I'm racking my brain right now as I'm talking to you about this to even come up with, like, I remember being on a ship, or like one of the planets I went to had like a big, I don't want to say city. It's like a
Yeah, it's kind of like their Vegas, or yeah, they had like their
yeah, yeah, that's
settlement. Yeah, one settlement. Again, I have it.
yeah.
I have it for PS4, and I think I played 20 hours of it, and I was like, no.
Yeah, that game was not good. So I hope this is an open world game. And the funny thing is, people are talking it up like, oh, this could be like, like early Elder Scrolls, like Morrowind or Oblivion or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. People seem to be getting their hopes up pretty high about this game. The screenshots look okay. I'm sure with the new Nvidia card, they'll look pretty good, but like, this doesn't look. This almost looks like a
AI art.
yeah, but not AI necessarily. I'm just thinking of like the graphic fidelity is like it's almost like a I'm trying to remember what the other game I'm thinking of, like the first newer Zelda, Breath of the Wild. I like the art style in that one though. This is kind of more generic and bland. It's almost like if you did like a 4K version of World of Warcraft. It's kind of in between. Like it's, and I guess this is just Obsidian now when they do games like this, especially their, first person RPGs or whatever you want to call Outer Worlds. Like there's just something about the color scheme where it's just not. It's like kind of bland.
Natural.
Yeah, it's because people are like, "Oh, this is like," no, Oblivion was interesting. Morrowind was interesting. For their day, obviously. Like if you go back and compare them now, you'd be like, "What are you smoking crack, Brian?" But yeah, I don't know. This just isn't that visually appealing to me.
I can still play those old games.
So
Time. I don't care that much about graphics.
yeah, they're fun. They're great. Yeah. I mean,
Dragon Age: The Veilguard looked really good, but the gameplay was terrible. The dialogue was terrible. The RPG elements were lacking or not there at all, and the story was terrible. And
yeah,
they killed a franchise that boasted comics and tabletop RPGs, and now they're going to probably have to close the studio as a result of it.
Yeah. Well, fuck EA.
Yeah.
Frankly. Yeah, I mean, like, this looks kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume this is like an enemy you can encounter, but yeah, I don't know. And I just wonder, like, if this is mainly for consoles, is it going to be still going to be shitty frame rate, like 30 FPS? Is it going to be, choppy? Are the animations going to be smooth? Because at this point, I think a peak level RPG or action RPG, whether it's like first person or more third person, the Souls-like games do really good. Do a really good job of those.
So does Doom. The Doom games maintain very high frame rates.
Doom, yeah, and in fact, they're coming out with a new Doom. Fuck, what?
May 15th, Doom Dark Ages.
Look at that, yeah. Let's look at that.
That's my brother's birthday, and that's going to be.
Yeah, that I would fucking love to have my new computer built by then. Holy shit! Like I might just do that. This game looks incredible, and it's probably more interesting and fantasy-like than Avowed could be.
I mean, it still has like I don't know, like a chainsaw, sword, and a shotgun, and it's gonna have like hellish Doom type weapons and enemies.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet.
But I have not played a Doom game that has failed as far as frame rates. We're talking like 120 FPS.
Right.
They know what they're doing, and why the other studios don't, I have no idea.
Yeah, I think they just, well, they're in Texas, for one thing. I think id or ID or whatever. I think they've just done a good job at actually maintaining their, the core principles of their company and the
Quality control.
quality and it sounds like a lot of the same developers are still there, thankfully. You know, it's not a bunch of people. It's not mass exodus of the studio like other developers and a bunch of DEI bullshit. And
Yeah, it's
you know,
people who built something that take pride in what they built and they want to make.
yeah, and you can tell. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward for that game. So yeah, I don't know about this. When I'm hearing mixed results, I mean, in a different time, I would be very excited about this game. But I'm just looking at the screenshots. Like, I mean,
I'm just looking
this,
at Obsidian's track record recently, and I haven't been impressed. And there's a studio that I
yeah,
used to really like, but like the Outer Worlds was such a disappointment. And so I thought, oh, maybe with Starfield, Bethesda's gonna give us that open space exploring, and no, not really. Um, so I don't know. It's like we're regressing when it comes to RPGs. Nobody can make a good RPG with that exploration that we all want.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's why everyone's wishing and hoping this is like the older Elder Scrolls games. Especially because Obsidian did work on one of the best Fallout games.
Yeah.
So that's what people are just hoping this will be like, and it's probably not going to be the case. But yeah, I would love a good game again where, man, just like go exploring, lose myself for like 6 to 8 hours, just fucking around, leveling up and getting cool abilities and finding cool loot and weapons and stuff, and even just a decent story.
Yeah.
So, because that's why I was excited about this game. I'm like, wow, this is set in the world of Pillars of Eternity. Like, there's a pretty in depth story to that game.
Is this a science fiction or is it
It's fantasy
okay?
or fantasy esque. I mean, you've got like basic guns, but you've got swords and magic and other stuff. Um, I mean, if it comes out and it sucks, like I'll just start playing the new Path of Exile 2. Or as I like to call it, the Diablo Killer,
Yeah.
because that game looks fucking awesome. So it'll just be that and Doom for me. I'll call it a day
Yeah.
because I don't have that much time to play video games anyways. So, like, look at that. Yeah, like, no, that's probably gonna be a no for me, dog.
Yeah.
If this is what they're highlighting in this game,
Notice the colors again.
right?
Mm.
Well, yeah, I mean, but again, that's just like very child. I mean, let's be honest. The trans thing is target. It's to target kids.
Hmm.
Like it's people that are mentally ill that are trying to force their mental illness onto children,
Yeah.
like to groom them to be like them. So it's that's why I say it's like a very childlike. It looks like a very, like you said, it looks like a very regressive kind of color scheme. And then you have all the typical colors coming together, like the pink hair, apparently pink ears and fur. Like they got to leave the blue in there somewhere. There's the stripes on the flag right there. And then also if you're not a weird gay furry, like you can be black girl.
Yeah.
Like,
Got
oh god, what kind of fucking clown world do we live in? It's just so weird. Like, ugh.
When did it comes out? What, February? Or I think there's an early access in February, right?
Yeah, February 18th. And then they still do this dumb shit where if you buy like the deluxe version or a pre-order, you could play the game early. Like it's a single player game, but I guess all the streamers will be buying this. It's
Mhm.
just a way to get a bunch of like reviewers and streamers to buy the game early or something, some stupid shit. Developers.
I know who to go to on those. Vara Dark is somebody who I like to watch. She'll play through a game
Pick
and
this up.
give you a pretty honest critique.
Yeah, I
Kingdom
feel
of
weird.
Deliverance 2 also comes out this year.
Oh yeah, that should be a pretty good one. Sometimes I feel like an alien. Like I'm so disconnected from this shit. And then this stuff still comes out, and I think to myself like I feel like an old man.
No, I
like
know.
it's
I know
like
exactly.
like I feel like I've lived through decades of this stuff, and I'm just like,
You don't
when
care.
will it fucking end?
Yeah.
When will all this shit end? Like the more and more I go back and learn about the history of America between like the late 1800s, early 1900s to today. Even if you look back at like the 19 like 80s to early 90s, because that was like, you know, I was like 2, so I wasn't really cognizant around that time. But it's like all of the same shit that people were debating, and maybe not to as bad of an extent of like how bad the mental illness is in our society, but basically the same retarded political shit that people like. This shit's been going on for a long time. So when I see stuff like this, I just feel like, oh my god, it's like this is just a repeat of the last multiple decades.
Well, it is, but like back in the day, people complained, oh, for the children or whatever. Uh, but creators still just created. They didn't bend the knee as much. They were interested in like they went after like Beavis and Butthead, when they first came
Right.
out, things like that. And Mike Judge just kept doing it. Like, it comes on at like 11:30 at night. So what you know what are you tripping? And it was a huge hit. It was made for kids in their dorms who were high.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. It's just depressing because it's like this stuff still happens. And as we're looking at this article, I'm just uh, like seeing the deluxe thing. It's what part of what's so frustrating is like because people have been complaining, like you. Maybe it's just me, but like people complain about this shit. So at some point, I expect like people to push back against it. But these companies that are churning out the dog shit games, they're still doing the same shitty tactics that they've been doing at this point for like a decade.
Yeah.
Like I remember when like Destiny came out, like still pretty early Xbox or like Xbox One, they're doing kind of shit like that, and I'm like, so I checked out years ago, and when I see this kind of stuff, like, oh, you can play the game and you get a tin box, like, how fucking lazy it, like, oh, okay, oh, digital, wow, oh, such a,
You get a
oh,
map.
wow,
For
yeah, oh, a skin set, wow, oh, wow, like, we're gonna offer probably more stuff on our fucking comic book free, like, crowdfunding campaign than this stupid shit.
Yeah. And
I'm just like,
they'll charge over $100 for that.
oh yeah, yeah. The games are $70 now, so this will be
So
like
120 or
yeah. So yeah, I'm already like back in my day, games were $50. Like that's where we're at now. I'm a fucking
you
video
took
game
them
boomer.
and they were done, and you didn't need loot boxes, and you didn't need patches, and you know, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
you didn't. You did. It was just a game.
You
Those were
didn't
the
have
Oh,
days.
gambling is the game now. Everything else is
Yeah,
window dressing.
yeah.
yeah. I cannot believe the amount. Like our whole economy is just run off of gambling and scams now. I'm pretty convinced.
Always has been.
Yeah, someone's gonna shoot me in the fucking back of the head right now. Yeah,
Now they're just calling
no,
it
but it
subscription.
has, but it hasn't been. That's the thing, though, huh?
Now they're just calling everything. They want everything to be a subscription.
Yeah, oh yeah, but I'm also talking about like the literal ads you get everywhere for gambling. like the amount of degenerate shit I get ads for, like the amount of people running crypto scams. Like Donald Trump just did a crypto scam. For all those people that think like, oh, these guys are giant fucking Donald Trump faggots. Like, no, like I'm not in support of like fucking shitty meme call like scamming people. And the only way they can get away with that is because now the people that are like in his cabinet are going to be in charge of crypto and the fucking White House and AI. So it's like, oh, what a convenient way to scam a bunch of people in a totally deregulated, anonymous way. See, like when you used to have to scam people, you'd actually have to have like charisma, and you'd have to like act like you're a millionaire and have like a fake mansion that you would rent, and like rent a private jet, and like come up with clever ways to, or like become a preacher and like be a televangelist and then try to get people to send a bunch of money to your church and do like cult, like you'd have to work for it. Now this fucking guy goes to the White House to do a retarded Martin Luther King speech during the inauguration, and then immediately does a fucking scam crypto coin and fucking pulls the rug out under a bunch of his I assume churchgoers, like wherever church he actually speaks at, and scams people out of like 20 grand. Do you know about that, William? Do you know about that, Kyle? Do you guys know about that?
I don't know.
Oh, there's a Melania coin now.
I don't pay attention to crypto. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the Hawk Tua girl was doing her.
Yeah, there's the hot. Yeah, there's.
Yeah, that's where all my money is.
Yeah.
There's the hot coin. I mean, it's all the same shit. It's all just people running scams.
I just never got into the crypto. I'm not putting it down. Just really not my thing.
It's like worse than gambling. It's just crazy, like the amount of scams
right now is on your phone. I mean, you can literally play slot machine. This is dangerous, folks. Like, you can, play, I go to a local watering hole, and there are guys on their phone, betting on like who's going to have more yards in the NFL game and who's going to score more points in this NBA. Like, they're just placing bets on their phone left and right. And I'm like,
all the sports betting.
But you can play slot machines on your phone. I think Dungeons and Dragons got into some sort of gambling or.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's how they make money. That's our economy.
That's detrimental, though.
That's all of our financial services. Yeah, it is detrimental. It's horrible.
Because I thought about doing it, and I said, nope, I'm going to be on my phone placing bets on all kinds of stupid shit. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not even going to start.
Yeah, I mean, if I was like if I had like an addictive personality, I'd be bankrupt right now. Like betting, or I cared about sports, I guess.
I mean, I could do a football pool, something like that, just once a week, $5 here or something like that. Have fun with it, but.
Oh yeah, I only bet on sure things, which is to say I bet against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
So,
classic.
In fact, I lost money in Colombia because I couldn't get onto the Florida-based gambling app even with a VPN. Somehow they're like, you're not in Florida. You can't do this. And I'm like, ugh, I'm losing money right now. Or I'm not making money. Yeah, but no, it's out of control. Like the amount of our society is fucked, man.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, it's almost like, hey, I think I'll start smoking meth. It's like
right. No, it's worse than that. It's like if they made an app that was like a meth delivery service. Hey, William, and they send you notification every 10 hours and
I think
hey, yeah, and they're like, hey, William. It's been 8 hours since you opened the app to order meth. Like, would you like some more meth?
It's time to re-go.
It's time to refill. Hey, William. if you buy 2 cases of meth, we'll give you 30% off your next order of meth.
Yep. They will
Yeah.
do
Yeah. That's our fucking society. That's the economy. That's everything.
Yeah.
Subscriptions to fucking meme coins to. Oh man, what a fucking world we live in. To crowdfunding comic books, you know, people you mentioned at the beginning of the stream, people just don't fucking deliver. So
No. You know. I don't know, but I may go to a comic shop this weekend just to get a lay of the land. The one I go
Good,
to
man.
usually has really good back issues, so if I can't find anything, I'm sure I'll
Nice.
find a back issue that I can, you know.
Yeah, there you go. They probably buy them for like 10 cents each from all the other comic shops to get new books in.
Yeah. They have a pretty
Um,
high markup. I mean, that's the one thing. You'll find an old Spider-Man comic and it's $15, and it's like, come on, this thing's not $15.
yeah, they're like, oh, I checked the key issues app and it's whatever. And yeah, man, a lot of this is so depressed. Here we are, just trying to sell a fucking comic book. We got to come out with a shatter coin. We're clearly in the wrong business. We gotta get people in on the ground floor. 10 cents a coin, but we own 80% of the coins. And then you could help grow with us. But we wink, nudge, nudge, promise that we won't pull the rug out from you guys once it hits 1 million. We're clearly in the wrong business.
There'll be a reckoning someday, though, and I just don't want to get involved in it.
Well, California's on fire, so that's a start.
I mean,
No offense.
and did you hear that? Like Gavin Newsom was in an interview talking about developing that land because he knows that people aren't going to come back and rebuild. The permits and all to go through. There's no way these people are gone. And he's like, well, when the Maui fire happened, they really did a great job of developing that land, and that's what I look to do. And it's like, oh my god, how tone deaf can you be?
Yeah, it's just out in the open. Like you remember when people like that used to have shame and like secrecy? No, they don't care anymore because they know that people won't do anything. So they're just like they have our government and like major maybe CEOs have slightly more nowadays because of recent events, but like the politicians have absolutely no fear of the public. Like none.
No.
Like they're so cocky and brazen. Like they say complete openly corrupt, brazen, like tone deaf shit all the time. And you know what? People will defend them. Like on both sides or either side.
It's all about your team instead of
like people will fucking defend them. Like I guarantee you I could go tell left-wing people like, hey, do you know that like Congress people like Nancy Pelosi, there's literally a tracker for her stock trades because she does so much insider trading? Do you know like you can go Google all the records of these politicians going in to their term and their salary is like a few $100,000 and they leave like multi-millionaire? Like, don't you think that's fucking weird? Don't you think it's fucking weird that right before Trump gets into office, he launches a fucking like scam meme coin and like a bunch of people buy into it and then they lose millions of dollars were lost among his support. Like, you tell people these things and they'll just fucking defend these people like they're their goddamn grandmother.
Yeah.
At least Biden pardoned his own family. like that's his family, you know what I mean? Like that makes sense. But like the fact that the average people will fucking stand up for these people and they're corrupt as hell. It's like, what the fuck? Like, can we do something about these people already? Collectively, can we come together as a country, not be divided, and do something like, permanent, like a permanent solution? Like maybe a final solution.
I just don't see it, man. Maybe AI will.
Fuck Christ.
You know,
Well, that's what they. Well, that I mean, they want to use AI to run the government and to fucking, create policy and I guess more surveillance and stuff. And people will be cheering them on the whole way, though. That's the problem. Oh, humans are so stupid and corrupt. We should have AI doing everything.
Yeah.
So you want to go to someone you could at least like lobby and bribe, or like maybe vote out. Probably not, but like the threat of like voting out or people that have their addresses publicly listed on the internet. Like you want to go from that to a non-thinking, completely remorseless machine, bureaucracy that's hyper efficient, that doesn't care at all about their constituents, like completely amoral, like non-emotional. I don't want to say being, but like an agent, that's deciding everything for your fucking life. Like you think that's good?
Well, and Trump just, I think, dropped, I think, because of the Chinese, I think 500 billion in their own AI project. And I don't know, I'm nervous, man. And maybe I watch too much Terminator or whatever, but
You should be nervous.
yeah.
But you shouldn't be nervous about fucking China. Like, who gives a shit about
I'm
China?
nervous about the AI.
Yeah, exactly. You should be nervous about the AI. All right, goodbye, Kyle.
All right, see you later, Kyle.
Past his bedtime. It's past my bedtime too.
All right, we can do a short one again.
We'll wrap up here in a few minutes. Yeah, just finish our rant about fucking government and AI. Like, yeah, like it's crazy that they're like you have, like I feel just as disillusioned now and betrayed as I felt when I used to be a retarded, like liberal kid, like college kid, because the people that have good intentions and will tell you like, oh hey, we're going to do this thing, and they may actually follow through on the thing that we vote for them to do, but then secretly they have very nefarious ideas about what they want to do, which still ends up basically in all of us being enslaved. Like it's like, hey, we really want you guys to cut government. Like we want you to cut government spending. Go in there and make Doge and get rid of all this stupid shit, so we don't go bankrupt as a country and like go collapse and go into martial law and it's fucking chaos because you destroy the currency. And they're like, okay, great, we'll do it. And you're like, oh, perfect, wow, that's like crazy. You're actually going to do this. And they're like, yeah, but we're going to replace it with AI. And you're like, no,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? That's not what. No, stop it, Elon. Like, like that fucking Vivek guy. Fuck that faggot. Like he's on the campaign trail the whole time talking this big game.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the mask slips when there's that big like H1B1 X debate. And he gets like super ratioed. And he's like, oh, huh?
The whole H1B1 has been an issue here in Silicon Valley for over a decade.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, yeah, no. I want those things for me and like all the other Indians that I invite over here and in the fucking Brahmin class that I'm associated with. So I'm gonna bring the caste system over here and fuck all of you Americans over.
I mean, that's
and I hate you, by the way. Like I fucking hate you people.
exactly. And this is the thing. And this is not. This is.
I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
This is common just amongst all the Indians here. That if you look at a place like Cisco Systems, it's 95% Indian. Like you will not. If you're a white guy, you won't get hired.
Oh yeah, IT, tech,
promoted.
Yeah.
They've been using this, and so it dovetails with DEI. So again, if you're a white programmer that comes out here to, I want to work for Facebook or a tech company or something. You get your degree from one of the colleges out here that a lot of people recruit. If you're a white guy, you don't have a chance because there's an Indian in charge. Whether it's at Google or somewhere like that, there's an Indian guy that only is going to hire and promote Indians.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hate to be that guy, but like,
but that's how it's been for over a decade in Silicon Valley, probably
right.
20 years.
Well, it's worse than that. It literally just boils down to, they hate white people, and they want to fuck us all over. Like that's, when the mask slips, and they tell you what they really think or how they really feel. It's just a lot of resentment to like Americans and people in this country.
I'll give you an example too to back that up. It's a friend of mine. He lives at these townhouses in Cupertino near Apple. Works at Apple, and lived there with his elderly mother. So it was all basically this HOA was all either Indian or old white people who were been there for years and years and years before.
Yeah, all the boomers that retired there.
Right, before Apple built a place that was close. And so I overheard these Indian people saying, we just got to keep going. We can make this whole place Indian. They wanted to make the whole HOA Indian. They wanted to drive it, because a lot of these white people are going to die or just father out. And they made, it was an HOA. So in HOAs, you can complain about anything. Like, oh, the person did this, or the person said, I would never live in don't live in an HOA.
Yeah, I made that mistake when I bought my land. I bought property it's a property owners association, but it's the same shit. Yeah. And it's like I had to deal with this one giant fucking asshole that was on the board of the property owners association, and yeah, they're a giant pain in the ass. I mean, like, if you want to maintain your property value, go fucking buy a nice house or buy some land, like in a remote area, and build a nice house.
Yeah.
And buy a shitload of acres, so that there isn't someone next to you. So even if some random redneck guy goes out there and builds or buys an acre and puts a mobile home on it, it doesn't matter because you own 50 acres. And so if someone wants to come in and develop around you and build shitty suburbs with HOAs, you sell them half your land for millions of dollars. That's the secret. You win because they're trying to buy your land.
Yeah.
You don't fucking, and then you can buy as much land as you want. This stupid subdivision bullshit where they're like, oh, buy, they cut it up into tiny little parcels. There's a bunch of those in Florida.
Yeah.
It's and then you go look at these places. If you look at the ones they build already and they sell versus the ones that are new construction because you buy it and then they build it, you get a better deal anyways. Or people who are listing it on the market because they bought it and they turn around and they're selling it. These houses are dog shit. They're built awful.
Yeah.
They're built the cheapest they can possibly build them, and the smallest parcel of land they could possibly build it in that community. Yeah. And the HOA fees are stupid. They eat up all of the value in having a mortgage over just fucking renting out something. It's stupid.
Yeah, you don't own, at least in this one, you didn't own the outside. So, you couldn't maintain, they maintained your bushes and stuff. And on the inside, you were limited about what kind of paint you could use or this or that. And if you, God forbid, I think they flew the American flag and someone complained about that and they had to deal with that. And it was, just, you don't own shit. But again, they're all Indian. They all work for Apple, so they're almost like indentured servants to Apple. So I'm sure they probably hook them up in that place,
Yeah, I mean, an HOA is a very good social experiment because it's government on a very small scale, and it shows you how shitty and corrupt people can be when you give them a lot of authority over you and they basically have no accountability.
Right. Exactly.
Because
Right.
that's what HOAs are. They're little governments where
Yeah,
they actually have a lot of authority over
they do.
you, because it's your fucking house, and they can tell you or fine you or threaten all kinds of bullshit.
Yep.
Uh, like what you were saying about what you can do on all of the outside of your house, what kind
You
of
couldn't
changes you
even
can.
park in your driveway overnight.
Yeah, just
Had to be in the garage.
yeah, stupid shit. Like, oh, you can't leave your garage open. Like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just all kinds of stupid shit that they come up with,
And you're paying
because
over $1 million to live like this.
right, yeah, you're paying a shitload of money, and you're paying for a bunch of HOA fees you probably don't give a shit about because they have a stupid little clubhouse,
Yeah.
whatever bullshit they're charging you for,
Yeah.
and so you're paying for the privilege of living like a fucking prisoner in your own community. And by the way, in America, you have no fucking idea who your neighbors are. Like, everyone's so isolated. You live in a community, like you have nothing cohesive that ties you together. Everyone there is just like, oh, let's just move out of the city. It's not like you have relatives there. It's not like you've been there for 4 generations and your fucking parents and grandparents and aunts are down the street. It's just a bunch of random fucking assholes.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's so stupid. But yeah, they're fucking assholes. Yeah, like in my property owner association, they literally dictate, like, they basically dictate what you can even build there, because of the rules. I mean, it's not literally like you have to pick these plans of an architecture, but it's like, oh, you can build this time and you have to have this, and it's got to be a minimum this square footage and all kinds of shit. Like, I can't just go there and just get like an Amazon prefab tiny home. You know what I mean? Just have like something there. And yeah, it's all this shit's gay. It's just, yeah, you're just dealing with like dealing with the fucking government, but in your community.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, and you can easily just go buy a house that isn't an HOA. The problem is a lot of them, they're not uniform, so you could have whatever that's next. Like in Florida, it's weird. I don't know if this is like this in other parts of the country, but you tend to have like a lot of decent houses next to basically trailer parks. So then people will say like, oh, well, I don't want my home value lowered by, like the trailer park or whatever. But again, you just leave the city. Like, you just move outside of the city limits, and it's a lot better. So, yeah, I don't remember how we got here. The government is shitty, I guess. That's the question.
Well, we were talking about Vivek.
Oh yeah, fucking Vivek and all of that.
I was giving you examples.
I can't say the pejorative here. that I probably can't say it on.
On the flip side, in the business I'm in now, the majority of our clientele are Indian. It just, Indian or Chinese or Taiwan or Vietnamese. So I mean, I'm kind of getting the flip side of it now, but yeah, I don't know what the future holds here, because these people, they come off nice, but they fucking hate you.
Yeah, and I always used to wonder, like, what is that kind of attitude? Because there's some kids I went to school with when I was younger. I was in private school for a while. My family doesn't have a ton of money, but they were able to put me in private school. Anyways, there are Indian kids that went there. And, like, I went over to one of them's house one time because somehow I found out that, like, he played this card game that I was playing when I was younger. I think it was in middle school. And I went over to his house, and his mother or parents or some, they had like this really weird attitude. It was a really weird atmosphere. And it wasn't the smell, for anybody out there like, oh, haha, you're making a curry joke. No. It's the way they look at you. The way they kind of observe you, like, it's just like very untrustful. It's like, okay, well, I'm not coming here to steal from you. Like, I'm just hanging out to play Yu-Gi-Oh. You know what I mean? Like, we go to school together. But it was always just like this, like, basically they put up with your presence is kind of the attitude
Yeah, they tolerate you.
that I get. Yeah, they tolerate you. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you have to tolerate me in my own fucking country. Sorry. Like, it's,
They don't want it to be our country. That's,
right. Well,
that's the issue. They want to bring that socialism and caste system here.
It's a huge yeah, their mentality is a huge inversion of it's just like, I wish people were more honest. You know, like if that Vivek guy was like, "Hey, I got all my money because I fucking scammed people over this drug that I produced." Like, I just ran a classic Indian scam. And I actually hate you people. Like, all those values that I stand for, those are for my in-group and not you.
Yeah.
Like, I just wish people were more honest. Like, you have to suss out all of this bullshit for people. And then eventually, you know, they can't really keep it up. And so the mask slips and you go, oh, okay, so you this is really who you were the whole time. But, yeah, I mean, it'd be easier to get along with people if you kind of knew where they stood. Because even if we're, you know, obviously we would still have the same problems that we do in this country. But then it's like, you kind of know where you stand. Because you go, oh, okay, great, well, you hate white people. Got it. Like, so I'm not going to do, or I'm basically going to, I'm going to interact with you as little as possible. And then everyone would kind of form their own, like, ethnic, cultural enclaves. And then eventually, you know, people would like white people would have Texas, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing, and like Florida, and then the country would balkanize, kind of like how the Roman Empire and like more the Greco Empire towards the end with the city states, and they collapsed into different city states, and you know, some of them had small little skirmishes along borders and everything, but for the most part it was like, okay, now we know that the Venetians, the Athenians. We got the Athenians, we got the Spartans, you know, or in like Rome's case, you had like the Gauls, and then you had like the Jews, and you had like, you know, the fucking Germanic tribes. Like you had the different groups, and it was like, okay, great, we all know where we stand. There isn't this weird bullshit of like where you're trying to. I don't know, like it's like, it's not flattery, you know. It's like, you're not my fucking countryman, so don't try to relate to me when like you clearly hate me.
Well, and that's like, again, Cisco Systems here. It's, forget it. It's, the culture is, it's Indian. That's all it is, all it's ever going to be. And anybody who wants to work there, if you're not Indian, forget about it.
Right. Well, and for the people listening, if you guys think like, oh, these guys are just being racist, like, I want you to go listen to certain people speak, and instead of just like eating up what they say or buying into their bullshit, imagine that, go on a crazy journey with me. Imagine that they have an in-group bias, because outside of this country, if you've been outside the country, most every other group in the world has an in-group bias. Yeah. Like Americans, white people, whatever you want to call, like, we're kind of an abnormality where we don't separate ourselves by like our European descent, or like our ancestry. We're not like, oh, I'm Scottish American, you know, I'm Catholic American. We don't have like an ethnic identity. So this doesn't happen here, but in the rest of the world, that's how it works. That's kind of why our shit in the Middle East kind of fell apart, because after we try to prop them up and we're like, oh, you guys have democracy, you can vote how you want. They literally just voted on like their ethnic or like Muslim sect. They literally just voted on racial lines. And shocking, like the majority won, the minority lost the election. Anyways, so like, I want you to go listen to some of the people we're talking about and go on a journey with me. Imagine that they're biased towards their in-group, and when they speak, they're not talking to you. They're talking about their self-interest. And if you listen to people when they talk and you think in your brain, what is their self-interest based on their group, whatever it is, things will make a lot more sense to you, like politically. Like things will open up to you, and your political brain will expand so much because you'll realize, oh, it's not complicated. It's simply that this person is talking about what is in their self-interest for their group. Specifically for Vivek, it's the Indian Brahmin caste that he's a part of, because a lot of the Indians that come to America are in that group. Which is like, I don't even know if you call that hyper socialist. It's actually like very hierarchical.
Yeah.
So for a left wing person, it would be ridiculously fascist. That's like the ultimate fascism because it's extremely hierarchical. Extremely. Anyway, so where was I going with that? Yeah, so if you're listening and you're like, oh, these guys are just retarded racists, like they're just bitching because they're lazy and like they need to compete. If they can't compete with the Indians, like go fuck yourself. Okay. Or like go on a journey with us and just imagine that that's how they're speaking, and then things make a lot more sense because you realize that, and this is why people turned on Vivek immediately, is because they finally realized, oh, this guy isn't talking about Americans, us. He's talking about his fucking group. Like his ethnic minority group.
Yeah.
And same thing with a lot of people.
It's not about competing. It's DEI only for all Indian. Like if you have a 95% Indians, that's considered DEI. Because DEI is actually just anti-white, anti-male, anti-hetero. And
it's specifically white people. I mean, black Americans are experiencing this too.
They are.
Like, that's why they voted for Trump, because when all of the illegals got shipped to like Chicago and Detroit, black people for the first time experience what it's like to be a white person. They're like, oh shit, this is awful. And we like
tech. There's not a lot of Hispanic or black. It's Asian, either Indian or Korean or Chinese, Taiwan, or Vietnamese. There aren't even a lot of Japanese. And in the 80s.
Well, and the funny thing is, and that's the thing. All these fucking groups are just like vultures fighting over the dead corpse that is America. Like it's just an economic zone. Like there's nothing that ties this people to this country. Like it's not like these people have any deep roots in this country. And the sad thing is that most Americans don't know their history at all. Like if you think about it, a lot of young people in this country, their culture is Asian culture. Like they watch a bunch of anime and read manga. So they're fucking weeaboo. Like their culture is like Reddit. Like they have no fucking concept of the history of this country. It's crazy. And obviously what they do is like, what they do have is super skewed by like shitty propaganda from like schools and media or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty fucked up. So the next time people trust someone like Vivek, or any group that's, I don't even want to call a minority group, like just they don't have to be a minority depending on what in-group bias they have. But yeah, I mean, for their minority, like they're just arguing to get benefits and privileges for their in-group. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of them are communists. But it's shocking when they're not communist, and then their self-interest doesn't align with you and will completely fuck you over. Like,
Yeah.
Vivek isn't a communist, but I'm not a fan of his. I'm not I'm not a part of his agenda.
No.
So, yeah. That's that. Yeah, fuck that
And
guy.
with the H-1B, is that how a lot of these people got in and got here and continue to come in and get here? I mean, there's plenty of qualified white people, black people, Hispanic, whatever, but they're
Well,
not giving
that's
nods either. So this isn't like racist white guys saying things. And I see this.
I'll tell you.
Not born but raised here, and I
I'll
see.
be the racist white guy. It's fine. I don't care what people say. Like, I'm telling you this. Like, it's just to fuck over white people. I mean, it's just another loophole. Like, the fucking the anchor baby shit was just a loophole to get mostly Latin people, like Hispanics, in the country. Like, that should never have been here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only difference is the stupid political game that people play in this country, which doesn't impact us. Like, it's not ever beneficial to us. Like, when Republicans and Democrats are like, oh, well, we're going to bring in this group of people because they vote for more for us. But, then it shifted because now the groups of people are voting more Republican for Trump. They're breaking for Trump. So it's like, oh, no. Now it doesn't. But, like, it never benefits us, the actual people. Like, we just get fucked.
Yeah.
Well, so now, yeah. So, like, oh,
maybe an end's coming. I mean, I don't know. It seems like a lot of cultures know how to look out for their own, and they do it, but we don't.
Yeah, exactly. We don't.
I know that that's going to sound wrong, but people got to look out for, I guess, their, home kind, because nobody's, we're killing ourselves. And
yeah, the problem is, white Americans aren't having kids, aren't having children at the replacement rate. Well, like, we're not having enough kids, and so the idea, which I don't even know if I believe this at this point, but the idea for the I guess the elite, whatever you want to call them, it's like, because they only care about the economy, they just want to grow the economy. They're like, we need more and more and more people to do jobs to fill it. But to your point, it's like, but a lot of these jobs are just jobs that aren't being done by Americans, or even worse, they want to bring people here because they want a fucking slave class. Yeah. Like, they want an underclass of slaves where they can just go, oh, if you don't do what I want, I'm just going to revoke your H-1B1 and fucking yeet you back to India stand. But that's not good. Like, even if you're some white guilt fucking liberal retard, and you're looking at me like, well, you're just racist and phobic you're just brown phobic. You're scared of the Browns. Like, dumbass. Like, this is not good for the people that are being imported here. Like, do you understand?
Yeah, because they are being underpaid for their skills. And
yeah, like, right. Like, they're not getting the same benefits of them. Now, to be fair, a lot of people are coming here and just parasitically milking the system. They're going on welfare. Yeah. But, like, even back in the day, if you want to roll back before Indians have been the big group in the news, you want to roll it back to, like, Mexicans and Cubans, like, people bringing them over just so they can undercut Americans and have them work for like dirt cheap under the table because there's no minimum wage. If you care about minimum wage and you're not just some dipshit virtue signaling to try to own the chuds, you actually care about livable wages, why would you want that immigration? Like, why would you want someone to come here to be an indentured servant? Like, I thought we're all about freeing the slaves and being guilty for our whiteness for the last 200 years because we did that with black people, and now we can never get over it. Like, don't you see the same cycle happening over and over again?
Yeah.
Like, is it just me?
Just
Am I the only?
They rename it, repackage it. Same old
Yeah. Like, you shouldn't be. That's what I say. Like, we should all be uniting against these people. It shouldn't be a right wing versus left wing thing. Like, we shouldn't be divided. I could talk to a left wing person, and if you're not a retard, be like, look, this is bad. This is not good for anybody. I could talk to a right wing person and say, hey, unless you're a fucking retard, you've been lied to. Like, these people do not have your best interest. They want to fuck you. They hate you.
Yeah, and there used to be issues that right wing, left wing, whatever agreed on, like meritocracy or protecting children. But
Yeah.
it's gone. Now there shouldn't be drag shows for kids. There should be nobody from any side of the political aisle should support that. But
right, and that's how. Like, if you really talk to someone and you just ask them a few basic questions, if they're not retarded, if they're not like schizophrenic or mentally ill, they should acknowledge, oh yeah, wow, this really has only been a thing for like the last 5 years. So maybe it's just a bunch of bullshit and propaganda from the top bottom. Like, this isn't a bottom up movement. This isn't a grassroots movement. Maybe it's like me being psychologically tricked into accepting like the worst perverted shit known to man.
When it comes to meritocracy, so I know an old programmer from back in the day, back in the 80s. We're talking the fat guy with the Cheeto dust on his shirt, white guy, sits in his computer all day, whether he's getting paid or not, writing program. That was the original programmers, your Atari, your Apple, and he worked for all of these places throughout the 80s, 90s, up till he retired. He worked for Google. He worked, whatever, create apps. So he's old school, white programmer, fat beard, neck beard type of guy. And I asked him about the programming, and I said, well, do the Indians, do they program any better? And he just rolls his eyes and goes, fuck, no, man. Their work is not anywhere near as good as the work we were doing back in the day.
Yeah, of course, dude. It's not, you're not bringing in people. Again, it all boils down to the self-interest of that group, that in-group. It has nothing to do with the shit they tell you. That's just bullshit. Just gaslighting you. It's straight up lies. Like, so people, like white people, why are Americans so fucking gullible? Like, just stop believing these people. I don't understand why you believe. That's why I was saying to people listening out there, like, just please go on a journey with me and imagine for a second they're not talking about you. Like, people project all the time. Like, so don't project onto them in a falsely positive way where you think they're talking about you, because they do that. They will project onto you talking about their group, but they're not talking about you at all. So please do not do that. Like, don't be the recipient of that. Like, recognize that they're just talking about what's in their self-interest. Like, people will just, like, they'll just come up with all kinds of bullshit and lies. And they're usually good at rhetoric. Like, they're good at making up bullshit that sounds appealing. Otherwise, you wouldn't like them in the first place.
Yeah.
That's why Vivek's a perfect example. Like, you have to think about what these people say. Just be like, wait a second. Doesn't make any fucking sense.
I used to be a big supporter of his until he kind of said what he said. And it's like, boy, and that's been a huge problem here in the Bay Area for a long, long time. And during Trump's first run, nothing changed.
Right,
And
but you
so,
you shouldn't ever have been a fan of his. You should have been like, who the fuck is this guy? Why
well,
is this immigrant guy, like, why is this first generation guy coming out of the woodwork to fucking talk about this? Like, you should be skeptical, is what I'm saying. You should look at these people and be like, I'm very skeptical of this guy. Like, I didn't know anything about this guy until basically the last year or so when Trump started running, like campaigning. This guy just fucking showed up out of nowhere. Like, why? You should listen to people and be like, okay, what? Why? Like, at some point you have to draw the line and be like, no offense, guy, but like it's like just like you said earlier, William. People need to start thinking about their group as an actual monolithic group because people think about us that way.
Yep.
Like whether you like it or not, people think about us or you, the listener, if you're have the same shade of skin as I. Unfortunately, that's how the world works. I
yeah,
hate to burst your bubble. We don't live in a fairy tale land where everyone gets along and sing kumbaya. Like that's how people think of you. So whether you like it or not, that's how you have to start thinking.
yeah, to them, you're just another white person. And
Yeah,
as soon as you leave the room, they hate. I've experienced this. You know, we all have. You know,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. So you have to start thinking that way and act accordingly. So when you see these people, you just have to straight up be like, and you can't if like look, you can't be afraid of being called racist. Like, I'm sorry, if you're afraid of someone calling you a mean name, you're a fucking pussy. Like, how old are you? Like, how thin skinned are you? Oh, you're a racist. Well, you're a faggot. See how that works? Like,
yeah,
you're a fucking loser. Fuck you. Like these people, and then people have the gall to be like, oh, our country. Like this is the American dream. Like, no, it's not. This isn't any of those things for you. Like, you don't just get to come into my fucking country and act like you own the goddamn place and shit on the street. like, get the fuck out of here.
shit in my rivers and streets.
Yeah,
That's for me to do.
yeah. And we might get banned off of YouTube for saying this. I mean, so be it. You know what? Just start a new channel. Like, we're not monetized anyway. So, but like, yeah, fuck these people.
Yeah,
Like,
people have to, look out for. We have to. Like, I've already said we have to find some sort of common ground because
well,
if we,
there's no common
if
ground.
we don't
Like,
look out for each other, then
oh, I see.
we're done.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing is like these white people, and like I guess they're more on the liberal side, but it happens with right wing people too, because they have like this ingrained white guilt from the last few decades, where they're just like so afraid and like they're so uh, like non-confrontational, where they're just like, oh, I don't want to be called XYZ, and I think a lot of that's starting to go away just because you can only be browbeat with that for so long until it starts to lose its meaning. But the worst thing is the white people who hate themselves. Like, they'll literally, I guess I see this most in women because they think somehow that like if they conform and they just hate, like if they just also hate white men, like they think that that's like gonna save them. You know what I mean? Like they think that it's like, oh well, yeah, I'm not with those guys. Like we're all feminists, so we hate white men. So I'm gonna join you guys, like all the minorities, and hate them with you. We're cool, right? Like we're one of you. It's like you're fucking pathetic. Like you're pathetic and retarded. Like you're delusional, and it's so sad that you act this way. Like again, people don't act like that anywhere on planet Earth. No one is like this ashamed of their group, of their culture, of their people, except Western European countries. And it's frankly pretty fucking pathetic and
Yeah.
sad. So yeah, I don't know. Something's definitely gonna have to change. I mean, It's just not going to be. It's going to be pretty bad when it all comes to a head. Like, it's gonna be what Kyle Rittenhouse had to deal with, but every day on a massive scale. And unlike Kyle Rittenhouse, who actually didn't shoot any black or brown people, it's gonna be like that with black and brown people. Like, especially the people who are super resentful and communists and they fucking hate white people.
Yeah.
Like, do you know that people think Kyle Rittenhouse like shot up a bunch of minorities?
Yeah.
They actually believe that. Like, they just are so fucking lazy they can't Google
Even
search.
if you hit them with facts, they just run away.
Yeah, they hallucinate. They have auditory hallucination. Well, it's like they literally are so fucking lazy. You could just Google this shit and watch a video for 20 seconds, and you could see the video. Like, the internet exists. You can go see.
They don't want their narrative destroyed.
But that's how fucked up they are. Like, that. It's like people throw this.
People in this country that way. Again, it's this whole team mentality. If you say, you say something bad about again, there are things Trump does I disagree with. And if I say it, if somebody who's a hardcore Trump supporter is going to get upset. But if I say something that, like here in California, there's a lot of things I can say about those fires and how they fucked up. But if you say it, some people will get upset and try to defend them. And it's like, there's no defending. I mean, I don't care about.
Yeah, you don't. They don't.
And if you're fucking up, I'm calling you out.
Yeah, they don't owe them anything. I mean, unless they're a criminal. Because, like, the only way you would defend people that are corrupt and criminals is if you're a criminal.
Yeah.
Like, but people have, like, an emotional identity to this shit, and they think that, they think that they're benefiting from people who hate them.
Yeah.
So, like, they have this perceived idea, because they're in a fucking cult. People throw that word around a lot, but, like, it really is a cult-like mentality where people will find themselves defending their abuser. Like, it's like how,
just like in California, these people, a lot of these people are left wing,
right?
Displaced, and now they're looking at it going, "Oh, holy shit!
Oh shit, yeah. Oh shit, maybe those guys were right the whole time."
Games.
Well, it's like, especially people on the left talk about oppressed people and marginalized. It's like, no one oppresses you more than the people that you defend.
Yeah.
I'll say that again. No one oppresses these people more than the people that they support. Like, if you go to a black city like Detroit or Chicago or parts of Baltimore, Oakland, in 2025, there's no excuse, because all of their representatives are black. They have a black majority voting base, and they're so insane that they'll still find a reason to blame someone else for their problems that isn't in their group. Like, oh, it's somehow a white person's fault or not our fault. Like, this is your community. I guess at some point, like, you just have to take some personal responsibility, but you could at the very least turn your anger on the people that are, like, stabbing you in the back. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to not take any personal responsibility, but if you're going to externalize all of your problems, like you're the victim, why don't you at least blame the person who's fucking you? Like, turn your anger towards them. Like, they're the ones fucking you, clearly. Like, look at your living conditions. Look at how you live. Look at your community.
Look at your local representatives.
Look at how they act. Look at what they do. Do they care about you? No. I mean, if you're gonna burn a fucking city down, like, why don't you go to their house? Why don't you start with their house?
Why is your education so shitty? Look at your school board. Why are
Yeah.
so unsafe? Who's the chief of police? Why are your neighborhoods so fucked up? But these are things that affect communities more so than any president can.
Right. So instead of burning your own community down and, like, rioting and setting everything on fire, start with their house. Like, I were probably going to get banned for sure because this is going to come off as a call to action. But theoretically, you're going to burn your whole fucking, just burn that area. Like, it's them. Go do it to that. Like, why are you burning Targets down? Like, is that really going to solve your problems? Obviously not.
Yeah.
Like in New York, the fucking looting is so bad, the stealing, the theft, that they're about to lose like every major chain of like convenience, grocery, and drugstore. Like all the Walgreens are pulling out, all the CVS are pulling out.
That was
They
happening in
closed.
San Francisco.
Same in San Francisco. Basically, every major city in America because it's all run by retarded communists.
Yeah.
So like, you're fucked. Like, go. What? You live there. What are you gonna do about it? You're just gonna starve to death. You can't grow anything. It's a city. You don't have any farms. Like, eventually, you're gonna have to figure out how to eat.
How to get your medicine.
Yeah, you're not gonna have any medicine. You're not gonna have socialized healthcare because there's not gonna be any hospitals. All the people are gonna leave because all the people are taking advantage of the hospitals because they're on welfare. Because they're scamming the system. Because no one pays into it.
Yeah. So
That's why there's a bunch of I mean, that's not all of the reasons, but that's part of the reason why there are a bunch of doctor shortages.
yeah.
People don't want to fucking work in those areas. Like, why would you?
No.
Why would you want to go to work trying to help people and risk getting shot? Or stabbed? I want to help people that got stabbed. I don't want to get stabbed. I don't want to have to, like, I don't want to go to work and then go to the ER. Like, I don't have to check into the ER myself. Yeah, it's fucking awful. It's getting worse and worse. It's just gonna keep getting worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we'll end it there. I don't really know what else to say, but
That's all right. Stay away from the new Star Trek movie, whatever 31. It sucks. It's not Star Trek, so
okay.
don't
I
bother.
didn't know.
It's even a bad sci-fi.
Wow. Yeah, and I'll just say, everyone, stay tuned. Mercenary Guild issue 1. Very excited about that. Launch is going to be very soon. So stay tuned for the email. If you're not on the email newsletter, what are you waiting for? Sign up. I just saw a couple people sign up over the last couple days, so that's good.
Yeah.
What else? Like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. Thank you.
Ring the bell for notifications.
Ring the bell for notifications. Yeah,
We'll try to get on a more regular schedule.
Yeah, we got to get on a regular schedule. But I noticed that most of the people who listen or watch us are on X. But I wanna talk to you guys, and I don't know if X is, you can really do comments on X. It doesn't show up on StreamYard. So, if you could hop over to YouTube, give us a like, it'll help us out, and yeah, leave a comment. Come chat with us. Tell us what you think about comics and our crazy political shit. So, all right, guys. Yeah, I'll play us out with the commercial. And
thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We should be back on next Wednesday. Possibly not, because I have to drive down to Orlando for MegaCon the next morning. So we'll see. But
Okay.
we'll be giving you guys updates. We're going to be doing some guest spots on some fun shows and podcasts to promote the launch. So stay tuned for that as well. Yeah. Any last thoughts, William?
Nope. I think I'm said everything I need to say.
Sweet. You'll plug your.
Yeah, just again, get on the mailing list at shadowmercomics.com and Mercenary Guild, and you'll get a free card if you sign up for the email list and back it when the campaign comes up. And there will be an email that goes out that'll let you know the campaigns when they're set up. So,
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to do a big one to everybody because I also want to let people know Hardly Heroes issue 10 is live. But then after that, it's just going to be for Mercenary Guild people. So to get all the, because I don't want to spam everybody through general email. So if you want the Mercenary Guild and you want the updates, get on the email newsletter, follow us on crowdfunding platforms. So, cool. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time.
all right.
Later.
Hello, I'm William, the author and creator of Mercenary Guild, the kick-ass new 3-part dark fantasy comic by Shattermare Comics. We're very excited to bring you titles like Mercenary Guild and the new groundbreaking horror sci-fi graphic novel, Victor. For the email newsletter, please sign up at shattermarecomics.com and receive exclusives upon each launch. Then check out the latest issue of Hardly Heroes. Don't forget to grab the physical copy of Lucas the Mucus, written by the great TFM. Oh, and we have anime titties as well. Thanks again.